All right. Welcome back, decoders. Thanks for tuning in as usual. Much love, many blessings to all you guys out there on Father's Day in the United States. I know it's Father's Day. Um, and here in Germany, it's not, but happy Father's Day to my dad and all the dads out there. And hopefully, you guys are well. And we're going to have a bit of a good stream for you guys today. I've got a few guests. I'm going to have Sean on as usual. I have both the channels who are going to join here, and if someone else wants to join, we can also bring someone else on, possibly towards the end. But I have the two links to the two people who are going to be part of this stream: Gematrinator 85 and Sean of the Sod. They're linked in the description of the video. That way, people can easily find them. I'm going to start doing that from now on. Thank you guys for hitting the like button. Please hit the like button as you get into the stream. That's always very helpful. And yeah, let's say hi to the people in the chat. And I'm gonna wait and see if Derek's in the chat, and then Sean, and then I think I'm just gonna present what I have real fast, and then we're gonna lead into Derek. So Derek from Gematrinator. If you guys don't know, we're gonna bring Gematrinator on. Derek, who created this calculator. And yeah, so he's going to come on and he's going to talk and share some great stuff as he usually does. I don't know why I typed in Magick banana, but I think I was decoding like an Instagram post or something. Somebody's name was that. Anyways, yeah, we're going to bring Derek on, and we're going to talk about, all kinds of stuff. So hopefully you guys are ready for a good stream. And I see Joseph Aquaviva's in the chat. Much love. Let's see. Casey Jones is in the chat. Coffee Girl. Bruno. Jessica. Catherine. Astral Pains. All you guys in the chat. Thank you guys for coming as usual. And yeah, the Magick banana, huh? Yeah, somebody on Twitter had a I was looking into this Magick stuff today, and somebody on Twitter, I was doing some research, and somebody had that name on Twitter as their name, and I was like, well, this is fitting for all the Magick research I've been doing, and I just typed it in to see what it equaled. But yeah, it's funny. Sean's in the chat. What's up, brother? Hope you're well. Gonna bring him on here in a few minutes. So anyway, we're going to present this. I'm going to talk about this stuff. And then towards the end, we're going to bring on, at my presentation, we'll bring on Sean and Gematrinator. So you guys know I've been talking a lot about the last 2 days, Trump's birthday, June 14th, and then yesterday, June 15th, was the celebration of King Charles' formal birthday, where they celebrate the king's birthday every year on a different day than his regular birthday. So you had Trump's birthday, and then you had King Charles' birthday. And yesterday, they celebrated King Charles, not his real birthday, right? But his king birthday, or whatever they call it. And so the same day that happened, King Charles' birthday celebration was on. They had the Clash at the Castle, the WWE event. And we're going to go over what I saw from that event yesterday, and how it's tied to the same Magick theme that I've been. If you guys haven't watched my last 2 or 3 videos, this same theme is going to keep coming up. This Aleister Crowley, ritual magic, Houdini, all these things are going to keep coming up from yesterday's event. So we're going to jump right into it. Then we can bring on the guests. Just want to do a recap. Remember, on 6/13, you had the WWE interview, Trump interview. Okay, it was connected to Aleister Crowley. It was on April Fools. Okay, the guy who did the interview, he was born on April Fools, right? Logan Paul. And I talked about how everything right now is connected to Trump and the Magick and Aleister Crowley, and the show that I showed you guys in the last video called Strange Angel, which is about Jack Parsons, who was a disciple of Aleister Crowley. So anyway, let's just jump into it. So yesterday was the actual event. I've talked about it a few times. The Clash at the Castle, Scotland, happened yesterday on the King's celebration of his birthday. And the main headline of this show was Drew McIntyre, the Scottish wrestler. He was screwed out of his championship win by CM Punk. Okay. And CM Punk's going to be the subject of this short decode. And CM Punk is a very famous wrestler. And I'm going to show you how he's connected to Magick, connected to this whole theme that I've been revealing. So first of all, what they call ceremonial magic. Okay. This is the definition that Google gives that encompasses everything such as ritual magic, high magic, learned magic. But ceremonial magic is the most common name for it. Okay. And I want to point out that CM Punk, his name is CM, right? CM, which I think stands for ceremonial magic. You know, and don't forget the word magic ends with the letter M, or starts with the letter M and ends with the letter C. So you have this same kind of MC thing, right? And a rapper is called an MC, right? And the guy he screws out of a title is named McIntyre, which starts with the MC. So you see what I mean? The CM and the MC, right? The CM screws the MC out of the championship win. And again, what are the chances that the whole title of this show, Clash at the Castle, Scotland, equals ceremonial magic? Okay, CM, like CM Punk was the main theme of this show, and he screws MC, McIntyre, right? Like McDonald's, Moonchild. It could also stand for Moonchild, which is a magical child that Aleister Crowley wrote about, okay? So I watched this show, and I watched the highlights, and I noticed that Clash at the Castle had a match to ceremonial magic. I noticed that CM Punk was the one at the end of the show costing this guy the championship in his home country, right? Everyone in the stands was so unhappy. This was in Scotland. He cost this guy the title, right? Well, at the end of the show, they had a press conference. And in the press conference, CM Punk was eating donuts, and he's wearing a Celtics shirt, guys. So let me just say, I think this is a clue that the Celtics are probably going to win tomorrow, because he's wearing a Celtics shirt. You see this? And this is literally at the same time that you have the Boston Celtics, who I've talked about a lot, in the NBA Finals, you know? So I think that there's a lot of stuff, you know, pointing to that, the Celtics, right? He's wearing a shirt that literally says Celtic on it, which is a soccer team in Scotland. And it's got the same colors, right? Green as the Celtics, Boston. And so this is what he says, guys. I mean, so I was already onto this magic thing, and then you can't tell me that I'm onto this, because look at what he says in the interview. The very last words that he says in the press conference is this: "We know what's going on behind the scenes. And in one word, it's magic." This is literally what he said, guys. Word for word, pretty much what he said at the end of his press conference, at the end of this event, which is about ceremonial magic, in my opinion. "We know what's going on behind the scenes, and in one word, it's magic." And that's how he ends the press conference. That's the last word that he said, was "it's magic." Do you guys understand this? Like, if I wasn't already onto it, what's the chances that the last thing he says is magic? And then that's when he leaves. And he tells us they know what's going on behind the scenes. And his name is CM, like ceremonial magic, right? So again, let me just bring this all together even more. Because remember, Aleister Crowley, he was the one who practiced a lot of ceremonial magic with his religion, Thelema, right? But he got this from other things like Freemasonry, the Golden Dawn. He got this from the Golden Dawn, really, right? But that ties to Freemasonry also. So they're all connected. But ceremonial magic is practice, guys, and they use magic to get these numbers to line up. There's some sort of magic that they do to manifest these things to happen the way they do. Okay. That's why I don't believe it's all people that everyone knows, what they're doing. I think there is a source of magic involved. And I think they're being very clear about that with their coding. But anyway, let's not forget that this event equals ceremonial magic equals 74, like Clash at the Castle, Scotland, right? And this is a huge number because in the basic ordinal cipher, gematria equals 74. Now, gematria is a form of spelling, right? Spelling, it's a spell. Gematria, you spell words and then you code them, right? So it's all magic. It's all spelling, gematria. Just notice that the word occult equals 74. The word tarot equals 74. English itself equals 74. Lucifer, Masonic, Clash at the Castle, Scotland, 74. Ceremonial magic. Look at this. The synonym magic is an archaic spelling of magic. And this is what Aleister Crowley, he liked to add the K to it, right? And I'm gonna talk about the K in a minute. But I just wanted to point out this 74 because it's a huge number. It's coded in the English language, 74, like gematria 74, occult, tarot, all this stuff, okay? So they're telling us there's this magic involved, this spelling, the spells that they cast with their words and with their number rituals. That's what they're telling us, okay? And I think it's going to be so clear as I get through this. So first of all, I mentioned CM Punk. He was the main character of this. He was the thing on everyone's mind after the show was over, right? This Clash at the Castle, okay? And at the interview, he said in one word, it's magic, right? His name is CM, like ceremonial magic. But the real meaning, so get this, guys. This is the most crazy slide of the whole decode. His real name, CM, stands for chick magnet. So look at this, guys. Chick magnet is the real meaning of CM. Well, right in the dead center of the words chick magnet is Magick with a K. Do you guys see this? Look at this. There's your ICK. There's your MAG. MAGICK. There's your Magick. So you're telling me that this guy mentions magic right at the end of his press conference, and I'm telling you this whole event's tied to ceremonial magic, and then the real meaning of his name, CM, is chick magnet, which literally has the word magic sandwiched right in between it. And look how it has the word net on the end, like a net. You get caught in the net of these rituals, these magic, right? It's just crazy. MAGICK with the K, and this is important. His name has the K encoded in it as well. So it's perfect, right? And Aleister Crowley was the one who started reusing the archaic spelling of magic with the K, right? So there's so much to it, and there's so much, but this right here should be obvious. What are the chances that he has the word magic encoded in his name, right? And not only that, the whole theme of the show was how Drew McIntyre, the guy that he screwed over, that he cursed essentially, the whole show was talking about how Drew McIntyre will wear a K on his wrist tape tonight as his wife Caitlyn can't be at WWE Clash at the Castle due to emergency surgery. Okay, so just by happenstance, Drew McIntyre's wife, in his biggest night of his life in Scotland, his home country, he has a chance to win the championship in his home country. His wife has to have, just magically, his wife has to have emergency surgery, and his wife's name just happens to start with a K, and he just happens to wear the K on his wrist for the whole show, right? He's wearing the K, which is telling you guys, magic with a K. The guy who screwed him over has the word magic with a K in his name, chick magnet, right? And he just happens to be wearing the K, okay? And they made a big deal of it. They made a big deal of the K all night. Like he's wearing the K for his wife, okay? And this is why they made a big deal of it, because it's magic with a K, okay? That's the point. Now, remember, this is all about Trump too. the day after Trump's birthday was this Clash at the Castle. I already made a whole video connecting Drew McIntyre to Donald Trump, okay? Donald Trump turned 78 years old one day before Clash at the Castle. There are 78 cards in the tarot deck, okay? So this is a huge connection to this magic and tarot ritual, okay? Trump just turned 78, which is the amount of cards in the tarot deck, okay? The next day, you have Clash at the Castle, okay? But the first card is in the tarot, in the Rider-Waite tarot deck, is the Magician, okay? The Magician is the first card in the Rider-Waite tarot deck, the most famous deck. And notice that they call it the first Trump card, okay? So you understand what I'm saying here? Trump, 78 cards in a tarot deck. The Trump cards are called Trump cards. The first card is the Magician, which is the MAGA. That's why he has the MAGA. Trump celebrating his birthday with the MAGA, right? The Magician, the Magic. The first card in the Trump card is the Magician, the Magus, okay? And look, the card, the Magician, is depicted with one hand pointing upwards towards the sky and the other hand pointing down to earth, interpreted widely as above, so below. Okay, what does as above, so below equal? 78. Now remember, Trump just turned 78. The first card in the tarot deck is the Magician, which references the as above, so below, which equals 78. Okay, this also represents the sign of Gemini or Mercury, and Trump is a Gemini, ruled by Mercury, the trickster god. Magic, right? Tricks. Okay, this is all connected to Mercury. Magic. Yes, Aleister Crowley did create his own tarot deck as well. This is all connected to Aleister Crowley, who, again, going back a few slides, he created his own tarot deck as well, okay? It's a bit different than the Rider-Waite tarot deck, but it still has the same things, right? So anyways, huge connection to Mercury and Trump being a Gemini, okay? Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is the trickster, okay? So yeah, big connection here with the 78. So this is going to be all about the 78, all right? So again, I told you yesterday at Clash at the Castle, CM Punk, whose name has the Magic with the K right inside of it. And if you use Aleister Crowley's English Kubala cipher, okay, this is huge, guys, because I'm using this guy's cipher connected to his work, where he chose the word magic with a K for the spelling of his magic. And look at what magic with in his cipher with his spelling equals in his cipher. It equals 78. Trump just turned 78. And the guy who the main topic of this event yesterday was just happens to have the 78. And he has the chick magnet, which has the magic with the K encoded inside of his name, okay? And he's CM, like ceremonial magic, okay? It's so perfect. And look at CM Punk's real, okay, so look at his name, CM Punk. It equals 78, right? If you take his name and unabbreviate it, and you take it and you write the full name, Chick Magnet Punk, it equals 78. Okay, in the same cipher as his moniker, Best in the World. Best in the World, 78. Chick Magnet Punk, 78. CM Punk, 78. So this is obviously his big number, guys. It's encoded in 3 of his different monikers, his different names. All has the 78 encoded. And you're telling me his name, Chick Magnet, has the magic within it, and magic in Aleister Crowley's cipher equals 78, which is the number encoded into CM Punk? Okay, so this is huge, guys. Absolutely undeniable, in my opinion. Okay. And what about this, guys? The guy that CM Punk helped to beat Drew McIntyre, to screwed him out, the guy that beat Drew McIntyre was Damian Priest, who equals 78 in the same cipher as Best in the World, which is CM Punk, and Chick Magnet Punk. Okay. So the guy who ends up winning and keeping the title, because he was already the champion, Drew McIntyre was trying to beat Damian Priest for the championship. Damian Priest equals 78. Priest is from New York, and Trump just got convicted in New York, which equals 78. Okay, so you have this whole connection with CM Punk. You have the connection with Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest in New York, where Trump just got the trial. Trump just turned 78. Okay. Perfectly all about the 78. Again, Trump just turning 78 is the key here. That's where you get this 78 from. And so let's just add another layer. Okay. I told you CM Punk equals 78. I told you that the word magic in the English Kabbalah Crowley cipher equals 78, right? Well, what if I told you the symbol for Aleister Crowley's religion is the thelema, which is for thelema is the unicursal hexagram. And in the thelema cipher, the Trigrammaton Kabbalah, hexagram equals 78 also. Okay, so the hexagram is called the unicursal hexagram, but hexagram equals 78, just like magic, and equals 78. CM Punk 78. And even in the base ciphers, if you just type in the whole word for the thelema symbol, it's the unicursal hexagram, which also equals 78. Okay. And what are the chances that Punk's symbol, I already connected Punk with the 78 and the magic, but what if I can connect him with another symbol? His symbol is the hexagram. The guy's symbol is literally the hexagram, guys. The same symbol as thelema. And again, this is all tied together with the 78. Don't forget, Aleister Crowley. Well, first of all, thelema equals Israel. Okay, this ties back to Israel, who also has the Star of David, which is also 6-pointed. So there is a huge connection here with Israel. Okay, I'm not going to get into that here, but there is a huge connection, of course, because Israel also has the Star of David, which is 6-pointed. This guy's from Chicago. This is the Chicago Star, which might also tie to Barack Obama, who has a huge connection to Chicago. But again, this 6-pointed star, this hexagram, all tied together with CM Punk, the Magic, okay, thelema. And so when you think about the word unicursal hexagram, you see the word curse is right inside of it. You have to say the word curse in order to pronounce the word curse. So it's talking about curses, guys, magic. Well, it's a hexagram. A curse is something, curse something by putting a hex on it. So you have the hexagram and you have the curse. You have the 6-pointed star. And of course, guys, best in the world, which is CM Punk's moniker, Chick Magnet Punk, which is what his full name means, and the word casting spells equals 78, all in the same cipher. Again, I only needed one number, and you keep having this 78 come up over and over again. Okay. And again, curses, the unicursal hexagram, you put a hex, a magic, right? And again, this whole thing was about Drew McIntyre, CM Punk putting a curse on Drew McIntyre. McIntyre just cannot win because of CM Punk. Okay, he's tried now. He already got screwed over by CM Punk or cursed multiple times. And again, at the end of the show, CM Punk says in one word, what we do behind the scenes is magic. And this happened in Scotland. And Scotland is known for the Scottish Rite, which connects back to the Rose Cruise, which connects back to the Golden Dawn, which connects back to thelema. It's all connected. But look, the word Scottish Rite. So this happens in Scotland. And the word Scottish Rite equals 78 in the same cipher as best in the world, Chick Magnet Punk, casting spells, all connected, again, with this 78 number. Okay. And I just believe it's all because Trump turned 78 and the tarot deck has 78 cards. That's why. That's why this number is the only number I wanted to talk about right now, because it's the main number that I saw coming up and it's the main number connected with Trump. So, and what if I told you that in the same show that CM Punk was in about magic and rituals, the two Scottish women that won, the only Scottish wrestlers that won on the whole night, there was 3 different Scottish wrestlers that had a chance to win. And the only ones that won in Scotland were the 2 witches who are Scottish witches. And their name is the Unholy Union, which equals 78. Like Damian Priest, who also beat Drew McIntyre, like casting spells. These girls are literally Scottish witches. That is their whole gimmick. Okay. So again, guys, if you don't think this is all about magic, then satanic magic, ceremonial magic, whatever you want to call it. This also makes it obvious. Again, these are the only two Scottish people who won in Scotland, and they just happen to be the unholy union, okay, which is all about rituals, okay? And their names are Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. What's interesting about this fire theme is, isn't there a heat wave coming in the United States right now? Like a heat wave, like fire burning? So I think it's connected with this heat wave that's supposedly coming through. Here in Germany, it's not hot, but in the United States, there's a heat wave, right? So there you go. You got the Alba Fire, you got the Isla Dawn, the whole unholy union, okay? And just to let you guys know, just a weeks before this woman won her first title in her biggest night of her life, her mother died in a car crash. Can you guys believe it? This girl plays a ritual character on the show, and then a few weeks before her biggest night of her life, where she can win her first title, big title, her mother dies in a car accident in Florida on the way to see her. Okay? So if you guys can't tell me that wasn't that just seems absolutely astronomical odds that her mother would just randomly just on the way to see her die in a car accident, and then she wins her biggest title. It's just crazy to me. And again, just more ritual, more magic, whatever you want to call it. And again, this is just a picture of these girls doing their ceremonies from last year. This was way back last year. But again, casting spells, the unholy union. That's what they call themselves, right? Both had the 78s. And the last time that they did one of their spells, see, they disappeared for a long time, and then they just randomly come back right before this Scotland event, and they're from Scotland, and they win the titles. But the last time they did a really big promo for the WWE was on August 6th, 2023. What happened the next day, guys? Do you guys remember what happened one day after this video was released of these two witches? Do you guys remember? What happened on October 7th, one day after this video? It was one of the biggest events in the past year. Okay? What happened October 7th, right? Hamas attacks Israel. So one day after this, that's what happens. I just told you this is all tied to the hexagram, and Israel essentially has a 6-pointed star, right? The Star of David. So again, I don't think that's a coincidence either. And so now we're going to get into the next part of this, right, which is connected to the magic as well. But we're going to bring on Derek, Gematrinator. So Derek and Sean, are you guys in the chat? If you guys are in the chat, I'm going to leave the link. I'm going to leave the link so you guys can join. And please hit the like buttons, guys. I appreciate that. Please hit the likes and help me get the likes up to at least 100 before the stream's over. And we're going to bring on these two. Hopefully they're in the chat. I haven't seen Derek, but he's probably just watching or something. I know Sean's there. But what I'm about ready to show you here is absolutely insane. Okay, like this right here is astronomically insane. And Derek has talked about this. I don't think anyone knew about this. Dr. Savage has been talking about Eminem, but what I'm showing here, you guys can probably read it, but we'll save it for. Hold on a second. We'll go back one slide and we'll wait for the other two to go. I don't want to spoil it until I'm ready here. So link is in the chat. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting on those two to join. In the meantime, let's put up some of your guys' comments. Yeah, it's a good point. Let's see. Yeah, Putin's birthday is also October 7th. So that's a good point also, right? The October 7th is a huge day. Um, let's see. Yeah, Casey's saying again. He said this in the last few streams, but Princess Catherine, who just returned to the public scene, by the way, she's born on the date of a lunar eclipse that has a 1.331 umbral magnitude. So that's interesting. And we're gonna have Derek probably talk more about this 1331 code once he gets in here. Sean is already here. So Sean, how's it going, brother?
Going pretty good. Yeah, the stuff is just still hard to process. Like, like just the fact that he said that in the interview that it was Magick, and I don't know. It's just it's mind blowing.
I mean, to me, it is absolutely astronomically mind blowing. I just wish I was getting the same amount of views I was back earlier this year. Like more people were watching because this stuff like is getting so much more like crazily obvious. Like everything that we're doing, me, you, and everyone's it's just, and even what Joseph is doing, everything's getting so crazy, but the viewers are going down. I don't know if it's Google or what, but like, and just the fact that he had like what really blew my mind was the fact that in the middle of his name, Chick Magnet, he literally has the magic with the K encoded perfectly. And like I never caught that before, and nor would I have never caught that because I've looked into him a lot before. I knew the 78 was a big number with him, which is why I knew as soon as I saw the 78s coming up, I was like, oh, this is a CM Punk number because he's encoded multiple ways with that number. And then everything just kind of came together. And as soon as he said Magic, and what was funny about that is I was listening to that late at night last night because I got home and I watched the end of the show and I was tired and I was getting ready to go to bed. And I was literally about ready to turn the phone off and just like lay down. And right at the very moment I was getting ready to hit the turn off button, he said, in one word, it's magic. Like I almost didn't catch it. Otherwise, I'm just so glad I did catch it. But and just the fact that he said it, the way he said it, he's like, we know what's going on behind the scenes. And in one word, it's magic. In fact, if you type in what he said in one word, it's magic, it actually equals 78 as well.
Wow.
If you type in the phrase in one word, it's magic, the way he said it in the string in the interview, it's actually equals 78. So that I forgot to add that in here, but yeah. So Sean, I mean, I'm kind of waiting. You can share some stuff now. I don't want to I know you already know this thing that I just had up on the screen with the M&M and the 418 connection to the date that you found originally. I'm waiting for Derek because I kind of want to show Derek, and I guess he's not even in here. So hopefully, he said he could, he said he could be on. So maybe he's just finishing up some stuff and he'll be on. But either way, it's fine. We can just keep rolling. And I just hate to present it and then have to go back and present it again. So I'm just going to kind of wait. And if you have anything else to share, with what you've been finding or anything else, you can go ahead.
I don't know if I have let me see. I'm trying to think of something that I might not have shared yet. I don't think. Give me a little bit more time to think, because I mean, I feel like you're just covering everything. Like I don't even know how to even. Oh, I get one thing I told you. So I guess maybe the reason why M&M is being used with this whole Magick thing is because rappers, they're known as MCs, MC, and the Moon Child. So that was something that I thought about. And then also how in the movie that 8 Mile, his nickname is B Rabbit.
Okay.
And how, yeah, and that's obviously the connection with the rabbit and Magick pulling a rabbit out of the hat.
Yep. And I'm glad you brought that up, because that's actually what I wanted to talk about with you, because you brought that to me yesterday and it really opened a lot of doors, because I was thining CM, and then I was saying, oh, McIntyre, MC, CM, MC. And then I was thinking ceremonial magic, CM, and even the word magic ends with or starts with an M and ends with a C. So MC, right? First and last letter of magic without the K is MC. And then McIntyre just happens to be, the whole theme of the night was how McIntyre was wearing the K. So I just can't believe that, man. Like how much more obvious they need to make it. And even Abe Punk even mentioned it in his interview about his wife being named K. You know, like, well, that's not her name. Her name is Caitlyn, but I guess he calls her K. So it's just, and the fact that you brought up the whole thing with McIntyre, I already connected McIntyre with Trump. We of course we know that Trump is connected with McDonald's, MC. So now you have McIntyre, McDonald's. And remember, one of the founders of the Golden Dawn, where who Aleister Crowley learned from, his name, he gave himself the name McGregor. It was Samuel Mathers, which is connected to, obviously Mathers is the same name as Eminem's last name. But the guy who literally was responsible and known for the Golden Dawn gave himself the name McGregor. So there you go again. You have the MC connection. And yeah, so I don't know if you have any more to expand upon it, but we're talking about rappers, which are also known as MCs. And yeah.
And something I don't know if I told you this one yet, but when you put like when you type out McDonald's in the Gematrinator, but then when you replace the C with the K, like how he does that with the word magic, you get 93.
Wait, what was that again?
So if you type in McDonald's in the Gematrinator, but if you replace the C with the K, so you put MK Donald's, like I was just thinking I was just thinking about that because you know how he did that. So yeah.
Oh wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, that's interesting too, because this reminds me of MK Ultra.
Yeah.
So an MK Ultra is obviously also some sort of magic, in my opinion. So yeah, that's really interesting actually, because that 93, I didn't really talk about it in this one, but there's actually more 93s. And just so people can see, I mean, if people haven't been following my work lately, they're probably a little bit lost, but I mean, I'm telling you, my work lately, it's all based around the subject, and I think I've made it pretty clear how all this stuff connects. And you know, I talked about how the 93 is the Thelema number connected to the Moonchild. And again, Moonchild is MC. Again, McDonald's. And you know what I found interesting? McIntyre, Drew McIntyre. So get this. His name is MC In. So Mac In Tire. Right? Let me see if I can. But if you just look at the name McIntyre, it's got the MC like McDonald's, but you have the Moonchild, right? Moonchild in. So Moonchild in tire. And what's interesting about the word tire is this is also an alternate spelling for the word tire, that like what's on your car. But the tire on your car is actually a covering to the wheel. And the way I see this is Moonchild in the flesh. So what I mean by that is Moonchild as in MC in the flesh. The tire is the flesh of the wheel. It's the flesh of the wheel. It's the thing that gets rubbed against the road, but it's the flesh. So the way I see McIntyre's name is I see Moonchild in the flesh.
Yeah, I can
as
see
in
that.
Donald Trump. As in his I've already showed his connection. You guys are gonna have to go back and watch my whole video about him and Donald Trump. Okay, but again, McIntyre is a huge piece of this puzzle. And yeah, so that's just what I found interesting. I mean, maybe somebody else has a better connection than that, but Tyre is also connected to maybe that guy who got killed, Tyree Nichols, right? His name was spelled like that. And that's Tyre is also a place. So there's probably more to it, but that was just kind of my first.
I was thinking I was thinking about Tyre from the Bible too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I did not know that the word TYR was an alternate spelling for the word tire. I did not know that. Like the thing on your car. So
I didn't know that either.
I'm going to put the link back in the chat just in case Gematrinator is in the chat. Maybe he got mixed up on what time. Maybe I said the wrong time. I don't know. But yeah, great find. Again, great addition with the MC and the CM. Like everything just seems to fit. And yeah, Hiram of Tyre. Gene Spliced says Hiram of Tyre. Yeah. And it's just so crazy too last night with his wife. See, and at the end of the match, McIntyre was so furious. Like the whole gimmick, the whole show he was putting on was that he was so furious with CM Punk that he was going to go all over Scotland. And if he found CM Punk, he was going to destroy him, like absolutely destroy him. Like he was shaking everyone up, like trying to say this is because he's been screwed out of this so many times. And what I found interesting is that there was two stories of tragedies with those two Scottish wrestlers. You had the woman who won the championship. Her mother just died in a car accident. And in Florida, too, by the way. And Florida is very connected to this right now because Trump is based out of Florida. And there's something going on in the NHL finals right now with the Florida Panthers and the Oilers, who also destroyed the Florida Panthers the same night this happened. The Florida Panthers lost 8-1, which is the ritual number. Ritual equals 81. So there's a huge ritual there. But anyways, so you had the girl losing her mom in a car accident in Florida, and then you had McIntyre's wife having to have emergency surgery. Just happens to have to happen on his most biggest night of his life, probably. Where McIntyre has never been so exclusively promoted by WWE. They put him all over the cover of everything. And then that night, his wife just happens to have emergency surgery. And what I found interesting, at the end of the show, he kept saying, Americans have no idea. Americans have no idea. And I was like, what does that mean? Americans have no idea. And I kept thinking, Americans have no idea what's coming, I think. I think that's because he's also, I think, referencing his wife being in emergency surgery in America when he's in Scotland. Just made me think, this might be some sort of like warning. Because I already told you guys about this thing, right? Tomorrow is June 17th. And remember, WWE has been releasing these riddles about the return. And one of the last things they posted was the massacre. And the massacre is supposed to arrive on June 17th, tomorrow, in WWE, right? And it's the Pluto symbol, right? We just had Pluto's return. And look at one of these headlines. Hex. I was talking about Magick and Hex, and of course, one of their headlines is called Hex. But another thing I found interesting that I didn't notice the last time, you see this, Sean? Look at the family, and look it's the only one that doesn't have the Pluto symbol, but what is that?
An eclipse.
Oh my goodness, guys. You guys understand like how much more obvious they need to make this? You got the Pluto thing, which is big this year. And then the other big event, astrology this year for the United States, was the eclipse. And that's clearly what that is. It's clearly what that is.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is it's by family. And look what it says, family. We are whole. We have become complete. We can't wait to show you how beautiful we have become. So this is the eclipse, guys. The moon and the sun have become whole. They have become one in the sky. We have become complete, the moon and the sun in the sky. We can't wait to show you what we've become. So that's pretty crazy to me.
Yeah, definitely.
And the interesting, they chose family to be the word, and family equals 33, like eclipse. And yesterday, I forgot to mention, yesterday was 69 days after the eclipse. So this Clash at the Castle thing was also all about the eclipse. 69 days after the eclipse, and in Gematria, the word eclipse equals 69. That was also King Charles' celebration of his birthday too.
Oh, did you
And I already go ahead.
did you see the thing? I don't remember if you responded, but did you see the video I sent you with Jen Psaki? And she was like comparing. She was like, "I'm gonna talk about Taylor Swift and Donald Trump."
Wait, when did you send me that?
I think it was a few days ago.
Oh, I
But
think
it
I
was
I think I remember you sending me, but I probably forgot to watch it. But yeah,
yeah. But anyways, no, yeah, it
I
was just
don't.
so bizarre because she made the comment. She's like, I actually didn't even watch the whole video. As soon as I saw her say that, and then she was just like, sounds random, but let me explain. And then that like right away, then I didn't even finish watching the video. I just sent it to you because I was like, what are the because you were talking about how the Swift quake in wait, it happened in Scotland? Is that where it was?
Yeah, there was that. Yeah, I forgot to even mention that Taylor Swift had a Swift quake in Scotland just a few days before this. Um, this event, this Clash of the Castle.
Yeah, it was just so bizarre because I saw that video after you put those together, and then
Mm.
like when
Yeah.
no one's ever I've never seen anybody talk about Trump, or except for the fact that she I guess like whenever she talks about politics, but besides that, I've never seen anyone put them two together in like a sentence.
Yeah, well, what's interesting about that you mentioned that Taylor Swift equals 160, it equals 51. Okay. And well, yes, today's the 168th day of the year. It's a huge Queen Elizabeth number. Queen Elizabeth II equals 168 in the same cipher. But 51 is the big number with Pluto. I made a post about this. I forgot to put it in here. Hold on. Let me see if I can bring this. I don't know why I forgot to put that. I thought I put that in this slideshow, but it is interesting. The 51 in the same cipher. Um, yeah, it was this slide I made. Sorry, guys, I wasn't completely set up, but yeah, I guess I should cover this because again, I was talking about this show, Strange Angel, which is about Jack Parsons, and I showed how the episode with Logan Paul and Trump was on 6/13, the 5-year anniversary of the episode called The Fool, and Logan Paul was born on April Fool's Day. The next day, on Trump's birthday, the Mavericks scored 122 points and to 84 too. Pluto equals 84. But I missed this, Sean. But I wanted to add this. Look at the records. Look at the records. 1331, man.
Wow.
That's the eclipse, man. And they literally have the eclipse as their symbol. You see,
Yeah.
like,
Oh wow, yeah, that's good.
and the eclipse went over Texas, and Texas equals 69, like eclipse, right?
Right.
But just notice they scored 122 points, like Magus, the Magus, which is the second episode. And look, it's even double coded because look how Magus is the 12th overall episode, but the second in the second season. So 122.
Yeah, wow.
And
Oh wow.
then the Mavericks just happened to score 122, and the Magus. That's why I think June 20th is a watch date for something connected to Trump and something because yeah, June 20th is interesting. I mean, it could be something with this Magus thing. Um, and also, let's see. But I wanted to mention about the 51 real fast. And don't forget, Magus is the fifth. This all ties back to this too. This thing, because the guy who's returning, his real name is Taylor Rotunda. That's Bray Wyatt's brother, right? His name is Taylor, like Taylor Swift. Taylor Rotunda.
Oh, also, Casey, he mentioned that you should put another link or send it to Derek's Discord.
Okay. Yeah, let me see if I can do that here. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe I gave him the wrong time and I didn't calculate the time right. I don't know how I'm gonna do that on my phone because I don't have Discord on my laptop. Trying to think how I can do this. Oh shoot.
Maybe I could. Maybe Casey can do it for us. Maybe Casey could do it for us.
I'll just send him a message, and then if he sees it.
But
sorry, guys.
But and I think also if you could put the link again in the chat just in case. I think Casey recommended to do that.
Yeah, I will.
Give me 1 second too.
Okay. All right, so we're waiting for. Sorry, guys, we're waiting for Gematrinator, but we're gonna talk, a little bit more. Cliff says in her book, EMS Mom said he's a descendant of McGregor Mathers, or I guess you mean Eminem's mom. I guess that's what you mean. Is a descendant of McGregor Mathers who worked with Crowley. Yeah, and again, I talked about McGregor Mathers, a bit before. Again, connected to the Golden Dawn. And the Golden Dawn is also connected to the Rose Cross, and that's kind of where Crowley got his. That's how he was connected with McGregor Mathers. But in his book Moonchild, he said McGregor Mathers was he basically put McGregor Mathers as the enemy, right, in his book The Moonchild. So that's who he based his character off of. And yeah, I think Derek just got here. Hold on a second. Let me get him in.
Sound check testing. Hello, hello.
I can hear you. I think they can too.
How's my volume?
It sounds perfect to me.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, sorry for the delay. I mean, I didn't get an alert on the live or anything, so.
Oh, really? That's weird. I mean,
that's right.
I some people get it, some people don't. I get my own. It's funny. I get my own when I do my own video to watch my stream from my own phone. I get my own like alert, but sometimes other people.
That's funny. I've never gotten an alert for my own stream. That's hilarious.
Really?
Yeah, man. It's YouTube's all over the place. I started recently uploading all my streams from the previous day up to Rumble. And just so I have somewhere else to have that stuff. But it feels like they're doing more and more. I mean, I was on my app trying to click on my video to look at the comments. And like I would click it it wouldn't even take me to my video.
Exactly. I just had that happen to me 2 days ago. I could not watch my video. I could not click on it. I could not get it to open.
And once that happened, I said, that's it, man. I got to get my stuff somewhere else. So anyway, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming. I'm glad that we could do this today and on Father's Day. And I know a lot of people probably with their dads, but yeah, so hopefully we can have a good stream. I already talked about like a lot of stuff. Like I already went through my decode with the Clash of the Castle yesterday, CM Punk and connection to the ritual magic that the riddle I found there. But it's good because I mean, I guess if you want to, I guess I can kind of cover some of that stuff later on if it comes up. But what we kind of left off with was me and Sean have kind of been, well, Sean discovered, I don't know if Sean, I think Sean was the original person to discover this, but he discovered, let me pull up the slide. And I think you actually shared it on your stream the other day, that Donald Trump was 666 lunar months old on 4/18/2000.
Yeah. And it just so happens I was working on a post before I came on here, and I realized this all traces back to James Garfield. James Garfield was the first president to be assassinated. And Trump and Garfield are all synced up with the numbers all the way down to his campaign and everything. And 4/18 is one of the numbers that brings it all together.
Really? Well, that's amazing then.
So, Trump was president 45. He was born 41,845 days after Garfield, which is also 207 days after his birthday. And when you write out 418, it sums to 207.
Wow.
And when James Garfield died, he died 6 days after he turned 666 sidereal months old.
Huh.
And the name James A. Garfield equals 666. But what's also interesting, and I'm trying to bring my post up, but it's not behaving. Garfield was also exactly 598 months old when he died. And yeah, in a video I just uploaded a couple days ago, it's not the same number, but these digits are the same. 598, 856, 589, 985. Yeah. I mentioned this alignment with these digits, and sure enough, James A. Garfield, dead at 598 months old, and he was his name in Latin is 859. And 418 equals 856.
Yeah, it's fun catching onto this pattern because I was big on the number 589 because there was the XRP cryptocurrency community is all infatuated with the number 589 because there was like a Simpsons meme that came out saying that XRP would go to 589, Donald Trump equals 589. And Trump's lawyer or Trump's SEC head was the one that sued Ripple, the company who makes XRP. So that's where I started looking into this 589. But then I started realizing that Jesus, is it Jesus in the Latin or is it Jesus Christ? I think it's just Jesus.
Jesus is 985, yeah.
Yeah, and so all these, what you're saying, all these different digits like the 985, and then if you flip the 9 upside down, you got the same kind of connection with the, and the 586 is interesting because that's my area code growing up. So I've always paid attention to this combination of numbers, the 589, 586. But yeah, continue.
Sure, yeah, I just had one more. I think I shared my screen if I did it successfully, but yeah, so here, Garfield dead. Again, the first president to be assassinated, dead 6 days after he turned 666 sidereal months old, like his name, James A. Garfield. Then I pointed out the 418 connection with Trump, who, by the way, was just interviewed on Impulsive episode 418. 418 sums to 108, and 418 is the 108th day of the year. This is, of course, a number with geometry and the moon. And here's the alignments with Donald Trump, 418, and Jesus. And then James A. Garfield has the same digits. And he was 598 months old when he died, exactly. And then Trump was born 865 sidereal months after that.
Yeah, this is bringing even more light onto this combination of numbers because, like I said, I've already noticed that before. Me and my girlfriend both, because we both met originally because of XRP and that number, 589. And then like and that's my area code growing up was literally 586. And it's just crazy like how it all worked out. But like the whole point of it was like I kept seeing these combinations also like what you're pointing out here. And it's just how it's connected with Trump.
Yeah. And, when you think about 418 of 2000, that wasn't long before 9/11. It was 511 days before 9/11. And that is part of another larger puzzle because Trump's campaign ran for 511 days. Remember, Saturn equals 511 in Latin. And when Garfield died, it was during Brown Lunation, negative 511. And his name is 73. 511 days is 73 weeks. And Trump's campaign began on 6/16. Garfield died on 9/19 at the age of 616 lunar phases, which is a number connected to JFK, the last president to get assassinated. So this riddle goes so much deeper than JFK. And of course, Kennedy is 666 in reverse. We just saw Robert Kennedy appear on the 666th episode of Kill Tony, the comedy podcast. So this post is definitely going to be longer than it is right now. But
that 616 is perfect too, because so don't know if you're familiar with the illusion, but the illusion, I saw him like make the connection with the 616th prime is 4547. So if Trump wins
really?
Yeah, so he would be
that's good.
the 45th and 47th presidents.
Bingo. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Look at that.
Today is 616 too, by the way.
I know.
We're talking about this.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
Bitcoin has been trading all day at 666 also. 66,600.
Well, yeah, today 616 is the alternate number of the beast.
Right, yeah.
So
and I want to go back to what you were saying before too, because I want to bring up this 418 and kind of like hit on this point really fast, because this is what Sean found about the 666 months and the 418. But what you just said about the 511, I want to talk about the 511 real fast. I discovered, so I don't know if you're familiar with the show Strange Angel.
No,
it's the show about Jack Parsons, the part of the Thelema. It's about, he's the rocket person who was also a Thelema magician, and the whole show is about him essentially, but it's also about Crowley. And of course, Crowley had the number 418 on the front of his Book of the Law. And what's really interesting is that show, if you go from that show aired during Trump's presidency, and if you go from Trump's first day to the first episode of that show, I believe it's 511 days.
Yeah, and here it says that the release was on Trump's birthday.
Right. Yeah.
That's wild.
But I think it's 511 days if you measure from his first day as president, 120, to that day. I think it's 511. I'm pretty sure.
Yep, 500.
Yeah, if you add the day.
This 1146. I don't want to get too deep, but you have his birthday in here. The podcast he just was on with Logan Paul was 1146 days before the big eclipse in 2027.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's part of the Saros 136 that I was talking about in that video. So yeah, interesting stuff.
And it's just crazy too, because my whole last video was about the connection with that show and what's going on right now. This Strange Angel is completely lined up with what's going on right now with the Fool thing, because the last episode of that show aired exactly 255 weeks before the interview. And what's crazy is Logan Paul titled that interview the Donald Trump interview, and if you type that in Latin, it's 2550, which is 255 weeks and 0 days. And that's the Book of the Law. If you write it in Latin, that's a big number with the Liber Al Vel Legis equals 255. So,
well, I mean, that explains a lot, because we are currently under Brown Lunation 1255.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, this lunation number is, they adore this. I mean, every month it's like there's a trending number all month, and right now it's 255. In fact, check this out. I just did a post on the Michigan shooting. We had a random mass shooting in Michigan yesterday where I guess a bunch of people were injured. Nobody died. But if you scroll down on this post, I talk about the moon, right? And how this is during Brown Lunation 1255. Well, look at Michigan's age yesterday. Michigan was 2,505 sidereal months old exactly. And when Whitmer's kidnap plot was first unveiled in 2020, it was exactly 255 sidereal months after 9/11. And Gretchen Whitmer is connected to 9/11 through Hitler because, they did that Hail Whitmer thing a few years ago. And where was this? So here you see Whitmer has the 119. Her connections to Hitler are through the numbers 9611 and 9116. And she was born 116 days after Hitler's birthday. There was a huge Kobe Bryant riddle in here too, because Kobe Bryant, the dates of birth and death are connected to Michigan and Whitmer's birthday. So it was pretty wild. But
I was thinking about the Kobe stuff too, with like all the 78 that you've been catching up on.
Well, guess when CM Punk is born? 78.
Oh, 1978, yeah.
1978.
I forgot to even mention that. I forgot to even mention that. I just did a whole decode, Derek, on the 78 and how it was tied to the Clash at the Castle yesterday. And
yeah, I want to see that
it was,
decode. Dang it. Where is it?
Yeah, I can just kind of go through it fast here in a little bit, but I really want to hit this 418. I don't know if you knew this, but I found this the other day, this 418, with what I had on my screen before. Can I take my screen back for a sec?
Yeah, do what you got to do.
All right. So again, Sean initially brought this to my attention, and then you also shared it. But Trump turned 666 lunar months on 418, right? And I just happened to be looking at Eminem because he released his Houdini album. Of course, this is all tied to Michigan as well because Eminem's from Detroit, Michigan. But it just happened to be that Eminem released his 418 or the Real Slim Shady song on 418, the exact day Trump turned 666 lunar months old.
Excellent.
And 418. Oh, and look at the gematria of the Real Slim Shady, 1331. And if you add all the numbers 13 through 31 together, you get 418.
That's good.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And he just came out with a remix of that song, didn't he?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, the first track, I think it was the first single off his new album is like a remix where they use the same riff. And he comes back with like an AI version of his young self. So they know what's going on.
Yeah, and this 1331, I think that's how this connects to the 418. I think it's the 418 is also an eclipse number because Crowley, who has the 418 on his book, he channeled Aiwass on 4/8/1904, exactly 120 years before the 4/8 Great American Eclipse, and eclipse equals 120. And Edward Alexander Crowley, his full name equals 120. So I had a slide on here of that actually. Where is it?
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, so right here, Crowley channeled. I guess I don't have the actual thing, but yeah, he channeled Aiwass on 4/8/1904, exactly 120 years before the 4/8 Great American Eclipse. His name equals 120, eclipse 120. The name of his, the main character, we're in the age of Ra Harkut. This is the Aeon that we're supposedly in, according to Crowley. And that in his Kabbalah cipher, which is taken, or James Lee's encoded from his book, the Book of the Law, Ra Harkut equals 120. So I've been using this cipher. I didn't know how much you really looked into these ciphers, but because of the connections I've been making with Crowley lately, I started to see the relevancy of these ciphers, just like I showed in the beginning of this stream, where if you type in Crowley's favorite spelling of the word magic, it equals 78 in the Kabbalah cipher. And that was the big number connected with yesterday's Magick connection with CM Punk. I'll just go through this really fast here.
Okay, great.
Just so you have a bit of a...
Just like an overview or whatever, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so yesterday was Clash at the Castle, Scotland. You had CM Punk screwing over MC, like McIntyre, MC, CM, and of course the MC also connects to rappers. But I kind of looked at the CM as being ceremonial magic. And of course, in the same cipher, Clash at the Castle, Scotland equals ceremonial magic with that 74, which also ties... Oh, and I forgot the most important part of that slide. At the very end of his press conference, right before he left the stage, CM Punk just had to mention the word magic. He said, "We know what's going on behind the scenes, and in one word, it's magic." And when I heard that, I was like, are you kidding me? I've been all over this magic theme. And then he just has to, this is the very last word he says is it's magic.
It's funny. It's funny because he says in one word, and then he says it is magic, which is 3 words.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was the same magic that tore his triceps, but go on.
Yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, and then I connected how the 74 was connected to how, Crowley was all about ceremonial magic. If you just do the Wikipedia page on ceremonial magic, they talk about Crowley literally right away, pretty much. And then that, of course, the 74, you know all about that. 74 Gematria occult, tarot, English. Spelling is like spelling words is like a magic spell. But this was the big one, is I noticed not only is his name CM, kind of like ceremonial magic, and the word magic actually starts with an M and ends with a C, so that's another connection. But in the middle of CM Punk actually stands for Chick Magnet, which just happens to have the MAGICK, like magic, right in the center of it. So it's the magic with a K, like Crowley liked to spell it. And what was funny is the whole theme of last night was how Drew McIntyre, his wife, could not be in attendance because she had emergency surgery on the biggest night of his life, just happenstance. And he just happened to be wearing the letter K on him the whole night. And they made a big thing about that, which I believe was just them saying magic with a K, And yeah, so you can see two articles here where her name is Caitlin and he was wearing the K. And then I brought up the point how Trump just turned 78. There's 78 cards in the tarot deck. The first card in the Rider-Waite deck is the Magician, so Magic. And that represents Mercury, which is also the trickster like Magic. And as above, so below is also encoded into the card, and that equals 78. And then I just talked about how Chick Magnet, again, has the magic in it, but that's how Crowley liked to spell it. And if you use his cipher or the cipher connected to him, the way he liked to spell the word magic, it equals 78. And CM Punk equals 78. And I've already known that CM Punk was hugely connected to the 78 even before this, because I've already decoded him multiple times. And I've seen the 78 come up multiple times in him. So I was like, are you kidding me? This is all about the 78. Trump just turned 78. And then not only does CM Punk equal 78, but if you type out his full name, what it would be, Chick Magnet Punk 78, his moniker Best in the World 78. And
can I just say that as a fan, that CM Punk's run-in was really, really well done. It was really cool.
Yeah. I mean, did you watch that?
I did watch that match yesterday, yeah. And
okay.
McIntyre needed a referee at the end of the match to count the fall. And they did get a referee, but they framed it so you couldn't tell who it was.
Right,
so And the referee stops at 2 and then looks at Drew McIntyre, flips him off. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, and it's just crazy, too, because I believe that parallels with the legal troubles Trump's going through, because I've already connected Drew McIntyre to Donald Trump. They're very connected. The chosen one. Donald Trump said he was the chosen one. I did a whole video on that, but
oh yeah, Drew McIntyre, man, he's all synced up with like Kobe Bryant. If you go all the way back to the Royal Rumble in 2011, Drew McIntyre was the 33rd entrant,
right?
In that
and of
Royal
course,
Rumble.
Kobe Bryant died while Trump was president too, so that connects back to Trump also. Yeah, it's a big web, of course,
for sure.
But with the 78 too, what was crazy is the guy that CM Punk helped, win against McIntyre was Damian Priest, who equals 78, same cipher. And of course, he's from New York, where Trump just had his legal issues, and New York equals 78. And I just mentioned Trump's trial was in New York, and Damian Priest is part of the Judgment Day,
right.
Judgment.
I noticed during that match too that he's got a tattoo. It's not exactly a skull and crossbones, but it's like crossbones that are made of skulls. And
did
I
you
did
see
some
that
work
crazy
on
spot
him as
where
well,
he got caught in
to
the rope?
Sorry,
did
Cody, go ahead.
Did you see the crazy spot where he got caught in the rope?
Yeah. Do you think that was like a hanged man deal?
Yeah,
that's what I thought too. That was the first thing that came to mind because it looked intentional to me, but it's hard to tell. But
I mean, it was pretty smooth how he did it. He made it kind of look accidental, but I kind of watched it slow motion, and I could kind of see how he moved the rope. But yeah, I thought it was crazy because, it just I haven't seen something quite like that before. They haven't done any. I mean, not in a while at least.
I want to say I've seen that a couple times where they can do it in a way that doesn't like rip their ankle up. It seems risky, but
yeah,
it was a part of the storyline of the match afterwards too. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's what's going to be interesting to see what happens tomorrow with that on Raw. See if he has to relinquish the title or something. I don't know what they're planning with that, but yeah. So I also with the Thelema, this is the symbol of Aleister Crowley's religion, of obviously the hexagram, the unicursal hexagram, that equals 78. And then CM Punk, of course, equals 78. CM Punk also has the 6-pointed star, the hexagram, connected to Chicago. That's where he's from. And hexagram in one of the Thelema ciphers also equals 78. So Magick equals 78. And yeah, so I thought that was another parallel with the whole hexagram. And then like the word for the Thelema is the unicursal, like you put a curse on somebody using a hex, which I think just connects with all this. I found it interesting that the word casting spells also equals 78. And then, yeah, I just mentioned again at the end that this was also in Scotland, and Scottish Rite equals 78. And then he had to end this Scotland Rite in the background. He had to say Magick. And when he's wearing the shirt here, the Celtic shirt, and we have the Celtics in the finals. So lots of parallels, of course, with the basketball going. I think this kind of might be a clue that the Celtics are going to win tomorrow night, but don't hold me to that. But
well, I've been saying since early in the playoffs that Celtics in Game 5 of the finals makes the most sense. It's all synced up with the death of Joe Mazzulla's dad. So tonight or tomorrow will be 4 years and 57 days after Mazzulla's dad died. That's the 88th prime number. And we just had the death of, which one was it? The death of Bill Walton had 88 connections. Bill Russell died at 88 2 years ago. And yeah, there's a lot more to it. Oh, and it would also be the Celtics' 4,057th win.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a huge thing I found on Twitter today. Someone posted an amazing code too, showing how the Celtics can win. The 617. Let me just try to read it real fast. Hold on. I didn't put it in my thing, but I screenshotted it so I can read it. This is also more proof that I think it's probably. So this guy wrote on, his name is Decoding Oz on Twitter, if you guys want to follow him. He wrote 617 is Boston's area code. Tomorrow is 617. 617 was the last date of the 617 was the date of the last Celtics championship, I guess.
Yep. It's 2008.
Since their last championship, the Celtics have lost 4 icons: number 6, number 17, and number 24.
Oh.
Bill Russell, John Havlicek, Sam Jones. Those are the 3. And they've also lost number 5, which was the most recent one, Bill Walton. He died. So it's just so crazy, this code. Bill Walton died on the Celtics on the day the Celtics swept Mavericks. Mavericks' last champion coach was Rick Carlisle. But yeah, 617. So the last 4 players they lost is number 6, number 17, number 24, and number 5. So that points to the day 6/17/24, Game 5.
I'm telling you, man.
Wow.
And when you look at the alignments with the coach, I will say I don't bet on sports very often, but I put a little bit of money down on the Dallas Mavericks to win Game 4 because I'm like, the alignments for Game 5 are too good. There's no way they're ending this in a sweep. And what does Boston do? They come out and literally have their worst half of the entire season. So There you go.
It's funny that they give both the teams. So both the teams in the NHL and the NBA were both down 3-0. And what I pointed out to Sean earlier, if you look at the records, you get the 1331 Eclipse code in there because you have one team is 1-3, one team is 3-1. So you have the 1331. And that just kind of makes more sense also connecting to the Eclipse because yesterday, but it's funny that they gave these teams a reprieve on Trump's birthday. Both teams kind of won around Trump's birthday. The Celtics won or lost on Trump's birthday to the Mavericks. And then the Panthers, who were dominating their series in the NHL, they just got blown out 8-1 by the Oilers. And the Oilers equals 78, by the way. Yesterday, the Oilers blew out the Panthers, and CM Punk who equals 78 in the same cipher, screwed Drew McIntyre. So there was a whole 78 connection there.
So they scored 8 goals, won by 7.
Right.
78.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and 81 is ritual number, right? Ritual 81. So I just thought it was pretty. Yeah, I should have been looking at that with the Oilers. I haven't been looking enough at the NHL connections, but I just thought it was interesting. What was I going to say?
I get dizzy with sports. That's why I've been sticking to a lot of Formula One recently. Just 20 guys.
Yeah. But that code that I just shared with that guy on Twitter, that guy deserves a lot of followers from that. I mean, that was an amazing code. What he shared, decoding Oz on Twitter, and he also made a Kobe Bryant connection. Hold on a second. He said at the end of that post, he said, Boston's last championship was against Kobe Bryant, who wore the number 8 and 24. His statue was unveiled this year. The Celtics won in 08 and can win also in the year 24.
Wow.
So
I found something regarding, sorry, like backtracking a little bit, but when we were talking about the 589s and the, all that stuff. So I was like thinking about Harry Potter because we're, the whole theme with magic and everything. And if you go from the release of Harry Potter, the Sorcerer's Stone, which that was on June 26, 1997 to Trump's 78th birthday, that was 9,850 days.
There you go.
That was the release of what? Sorry, Sean?
Oh, Harry Potter, the Sorcerer's Stone, sorry. That's the first Harry Potter, right?
Is that? I'm not very familiar with Harry Potter, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine that with all this magic stuff that we're kind of unpacking, there's got to be a bunch of connections to Harry Potter, especially because like, I think I've like 7-1's made the connection with like Harry. I think the etymology of Harry is war, and like all this stuff is just kind of like brewing up for, for war. And then you have Kamala Harris.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead, Derek.
Yeah, I'm not wondering for fear or anything. But it does feel like they're ramping up for something big soon. I was talking about presidential assassination riddles. I mean, what would unsettle people more in this country at this time than if Trump wins and then gets, something happens to him? It's like, I don't know. That's what I'm worried about. Not because I'm concerned about exactly what's going on in politics so much, but that would set a lot of people off. It would be a mess here, I think.
Yeah, they've been giving a lot of codes. I mean, a lot of riddles. I mean, Joseph Aquaviva he showed a parallel with yesterday's shooting with Trump. Also, a bunch of 159s connected to that, which is also, yeah. So that's yeah. I mean, we've seen lots of connections, and what I've been trying to think is, I kind of revealed how this Strange Angel show was kind of paralleling what's going on right now, and that show. What was interesting, I showed you how the first episode of that show was on Trump's birthday, June 14th. And the next season, there was only 2 seasons. The next season, the first season or the first episode aired on June 13th. So that was the 5-year anniversary. So the episode of Logan Paul was the 5-year anniversary of that episode airing. And what was interesting about the name of that episode, it was, I'll show you real fast. Hold on. It was called, see if I can find it. Right here. So, yeah. So the episode of Trump, the 418, again, which this 418 is tied to this show because this whole show is about Aleister Crowley and he has the 418 on his book. But anyway, the first episode was on June 13th, of the second season was on June 13th, 2019, and it was called The Fool. And of course, Trump, exactly 5 years later on 6/13, was meeting with a guy born on April Fool's.
Yeah, I pointed that out. April Fool's Day.
Mm-hmm. And then just by happen chance, the next day after I pointed out this connection with this episode and the Fool, the next episode in that series, the next one was called the Magus. And the Mavericks just happened to score 122 points, which is the gematria of the Magus, which is also the fifth degree.
So good.
Yeah. And then I think that's what's big about this 5 right now, because the 5th degree of Satan is Magus. We're thinking that the last game of the series is going to be game 5, and it's been 5 years since these episodes aired to this what's going on right now. And what's even crazier is the episode that aired on July 11th that year, 2019. Can you guess what it was called?
Something to do with eclipses? I don't know.
No, it was called The Hangman.
Ah.
And remember, the 5-year anniversary of that episode, The Hangman, will be Trump's sentencing.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's perfect. You got Logan Paul, right? Born on April Fool's Day, the Fool, the first Trump card. And then you have him being interviewed just before his 78th birthday, 78 cards in the tarot, the Trump being the arcana. It's just so perfect.
Yeah, and I was also thinking, it's interesting how like April Fool's Day is on 4/1, and like how Mercury is the trickster, and Mercury equals 41.
Yep. Yeah, and then the Magus is the Magus Mercury is connected to the Magus card, which is the next card, and I'm pretty Dallas equals 41. So yeah, actually that's the connection I wanted to make. Is if you type in Dallas and you type in the Magus, I think it's the Magus. Yeah, so you see this? Dallas equals 41, the Magus 41.
Yeah, and don't forget that like 41 is the 13th prime, and Eminem, like I mentioned, every single one of his friends, like, or his, like, all the rappers, they all refer to him as M. Everyone calls him M. So it's really like that 13. And so I think there's another connection there with the 13 and the 41.
Yeah, I think definitely. I mean, and you know what I just noticed here is the Magus equals 31 and it equals 122. So the Mavericks scored 122 points and they made the series 3-1 or 1-3. Wow, that's perfectly coded. I just realized this.
Oh wow.
So they scored 122 points. And then they made the series 3-1 or 1-3, which is right here. Mavericks became 1-3, like Dallas equals 1-3. Boston dropped to 3-1. Magus 3-1, and 120. I mean, that's perfect, man. Wow.
Yeah, WWE just announced that WrestleMania 41 is going to be in Las Vegas, which is 41 with the S exception. And we had the Las Vegas shooting 41 days after the first Great American Eclipse.
Yeah, and that's true.
Las Vegas, trickery, gambling. I think there's a riddle there too, because they say they pay out a little more than they do in Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely an interesting connection, because I was thinking about this next WrestleMania being 41 and just how that connects with, I mean, there's a whole 41 connection with 9/11 and so yeah, that's what, and they're having it like the latest they've ever had that WrestleMania. I think
that's what I was going to say is it starts on April 19th, 1904, the date. That's like September 11th, 2001 and 119, all summed to 194 ordinal. And yeah, it's like 2 or 3 weeks later than any other WrestleMania. So there's something to that.
Speaking of which, I wanted to go ahead, Sean.
Oh, did you already make the connection with like how Harry Houdini, he died on Halloween, and like how on Halloween you say trick or treat, like trick, trick. Trickster.
Yeah, well, I kind of like mentioned Halloween because
I remember you mentioned the Halloween part, but I feel like that just like that's so perfect with like the whole trick or treat thing.
Right,
and
it
then
does
like
go perfect.
yeah, and then Harry Houdini like HH88, and then Magic Square of Mercury is 8x8. So that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point to bring up because like I mentioned Halloween, but I didn't necessarily mention the actual trick or treat part, which I guess goes perfectly with the trick, the trickster, and yeah, that's a good point.
I don't have numerology with Houdini, but my best friend in grade school growing up was a relative of Harry Houdini.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because Houdini and his family lived in Milwaukee. And
that's where the convention is coming up too.
Yep,
the Republican one.
It's interesting too because so like I mentioned, like Eminem, like everyone calls him M, so the 13th letter, and then his movie was 8 Mile, so 13-8. And then there was that whole 13-8 ritual with Alex Jones recently, how they said that he had to liquidate his assets 138 months after Sandy Hook. Like exactly 138 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting alignment.
Yeah, I saw that too. I didn't really get the chance to look into that a lot, but I saw Joseph and other people talking about it. So,
and Donald Trump is 138. That was on his birthday, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I did want to show Derek this real fast because the day that you did your decode about the 136 and the connection with the episode and all that stuff, I was thinking about. I mean, I was just now using this English Kubala cipher, and I've been using it and it's just pretty much showing that it does have connections. And I thought it interesting that Donald Trump, Joe Biden, and Dallas Mavericks all equal 136, and there was something else that equaled 136 that I can't think of right now. But
yeah, this cipher, I mean, it's absolutely relevant, and sometimes I'm blown away by what's in it. It's one of those ciphers where I feel like it's only appropriate to use it at certain times. Hopefully that's logical. I think it's similar with other ciphers as well, where, I try not to venture too far outside the alphabetic order or the standard ciphers. But when you're decoding occultic figures, especially Aleister Crowley, his texts, then you see how the presidency has been historically related to Crowley through the Bush family. Absolutely, this is relevant. And I probably don't teach it enough because I'm very conscious of limiting my methods. But, I mean, Donald Trump is 136. I should have put that in my video. I mean, seriously. His whole life is synced to Saros 136.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, because I've just now started to I've been like very, very picky about adding in these Kubala ciphers over the years. But as soon as I actually read through it and actually learned about the cipher and learned about what it was connected to, now I feel like I can't not look at it. And the things I've been finding, like Crowley, his word for magic equals 78, which went perfectly with the CM Punk stuff last night. And I've already shown how like everything with right now is connected to Crowley, especially that Eclipse being. And what I found interesting here is the Magus also equals 108, which 418 is the 108 day of the year. And yeah, I'm just seeing so many more connections now. And just the coach of the Panthers right now, the Panthers is Chris Knobloch, which equals 136.
I wonder if that's Knobloch. We had a baseball player named Knobloch once.
Well, what was funny, I told my girlfriend earlier, you know what this word is in German, right? Knoblauch is German, is garlic.
Oh,
that's literally how you spell garlic in German. So I thought that was interesting.
Chris vampirism garlic. Going on here.
Yeah, maybe that's a good point. I did a whole connection on some vampire stuff the other day. Like there was this, I don't know. Yeah, you probably didn't see that, but there was this prankster, which actually goes perfectly with what I've been talking about. Prankster, trickster. He was at a Dallas convention, right? He's a big prankster. He has like millions of followers. He was at a Dallas convention, and he talked to 3 different celebrities during this prank. And the first one was what was his name? I can't even remember his name now.
Dallas 136.
William Shatner. William Shatner.
Yeah, Shatner. So the first celebrity he talks to is William Shatner, and the first thing he says to the guy is, "How do you stay so young?" And then they start joking about drinking blood, and I'm like, "Oh my, what kind of joke is this?" And then Shatner actually plays along with it. And then the next celebrity he goes to, oh, and I forgot, the first thing he said to Shatner was, "I was with you on the Boston legal set." So he literally makes a Boston reference in Dallas when you have the Boston and the Dallas series going on. And then he talks about vampires, essentially. So the next celebrity he goes to is a woman who played in the Supernatural series, and she played the Darkness. And yeah, her name was Emily Swallow, kind of like you have to swallow when you drink something. And then the third person he went to was Wayne Knight. And Wayne Knight makes you think of the Dark Knight or Batman, which is like kind of a vampire bat. And anyway, I made this whole connection with the number 65 connected to Prince William, because interestingly enough, Prince William is born, I don't remember the amount of days, but if you break down the amount of days between William Shatner's birth and Prince William's birth, it breaks down to 322 prime, and William Shatner was born on 322. So yeah, it was a pretty interesting decode, because it was just a random prank video, and it was coded perfectly, you know.
Yeah, I did some work on CM Punk a couple years ago, because he was in that fight in AEW. And one of my conspiracy theories is that Tony Khan was given this task to essentially eliminate any competition from WWE. And they saw this growing movement of independent wrestling, and they quickly paid everyone, and then basically paid him to sit at home and not do anything. And then they made one star after another and then squashed them, and now nobody's watching it.
Right.
And,
yeah.
And when you look at the history, it's bizarre. But, you know, Cody, for instance, you know, he went to AEW, he helped start it, and then all of a sudden he's back in WWE, and now he's their biggest star. CM Punk went there, and now he's back. But this fight that CM Punk had with the Young Bucks down in AEW, like, it was so coded by the numbers. This won't take long, but I'm just going to share this quick because
yeah, you can share your screen if you want.
Yeah, right on. Let's see. Okay. So CM Punk's real name, Phillip Brooks, is 162 in ordinal, and he was exactly 16,020 days on the date of this fight that he had backstage. And one of the guys he got in a fight with, the older of the two Young Bucks, his name is Matthew Massey, which is 1369. And he was 13,690 days old.
Wow.
And then you look at his birthday, 313, and Punk was 313 days after his birthday. And I'm like, what are the odds of this? You know, I mean, was even that fight scripted? It feels like what they did with WCW in the 90s, where they had wrestlers go back and forth between companies, and then you look at it, and there was a huge numeric riddle every time that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's the same thing here with AEW. Like, there's just coordination behind the scenes, and there's, you know, everyone's making fat money, so no one really cares to say anything.
Yeah.
But that's the impression I get.
Tell.
Because, I mean, when you look at wrestling, like, everyone knows it's fake and staged, or scripted anyway. So it's like they got to do something to you know, keep tricking people while entertaining them. I don't know. I'm fascinated by it, because the business is so unique from regular sports, you know?
Yeah, it's just so interesting because, first of all, it's just nothing but archetypes. Their characters are archetypes. There's so much symbolism just encoded in their characters in general. And then it's just crazy how they make people think that, like, the injuries and the people moving from one company to another is all, like, just organic, and just, like, it's not part of the actual rig of the whole thing. But when you actually start to look at it, it's clear that it's part of the whole rig. Just all these wrestlers getting mad at each other and then moving to another company and then eventually coming back. And like, just like Triple H yesterday was saying how he loves CM Punk now, and they see eye to eye, when like just years ago after he left, that was them two were going head to head. And yeah, it's just wrestling is my favorite thing to decode. And that's why usually lately I've been doing a lot of that. So,
well, yeah, and you've been doing some great stuff. I mean, those connections with, especially the fact that it's in Scotland, like that's where I'd start. The origin of the Scottish Rite, the fact that they did this Magick thing there is so ideal.
Right.
And I like it too, because, again, everyone knows it's scripted. So it's easier for people to accept that there might be more to the scripting. Whereas when you come in with sports and try to tell someone that the games are scripted, like they have to get through that block in their head to believe that it could be in the first place. But when then you show the alignments between regular sports and wrestling, it's like, wait a minute. And even with F1, I mean, I did a video recently where I tried to prove that they're changing the times for qualifying. And, they had a tie in qualifying down to the thousandths of a second a couple weeks ago. But if you actually watch the video and consider it's 50 frames per second, like the times do not line up. And then I showed that they removed frames from one of the laps to make it look like they were identical, but they weren't. And then I explained the numerology behind why they did it at the circuit they did, in tribute to the previous ties. And the numbers line up too perfectly. And to me, like, we can sit here and say sports are rigged and show numbers, but I feel like that could be pretty valuable to really show people, like 100%, they are tricking you. Like they are manipulating the footage with the intent of showing you these numbers, and just trying to make more sense of it, I guess, is all I'm getting at.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. I mean, I don't really follow racing, any type of racing, but I'm sure, like what you just said, I mean, that's crazy. I mean, that can be like, aside from doing all the conspiracy numbers and all the gematria and stuff, like that's something that really could show people, hey, they're messing with stuff, like truly messing with you. And yeah, I think I'll have to watch that video. You made a video on that?
I did. It's one of my recent live videos where I talk about the F1 tie, and I said it's a lie, but why? And you look at the time that they tied at, and not only was it identical, but it was exactly with the triple zeros, 1 minute and 12 seconds. And 112 is the name of the circuit. Well, here's the big thing, right? Is that there's only been one tie in history in F1 before. So here were the times right there, the name of the track. But this was the second tie in F1 history. And the first time there was a tie, it was a three-way tie with the exact same time, right?
Whoa.
Three people, really?
121.
Never happened. Too? Yeah, well, and look at one of the drivers, Jacques Villeneuve. Well, his dad was Gilles Villeneuve, and that's the circuit that they were at. It's named after his dad. So anyway, this Grand Prix back in 1997 with the previous tie, this was in Jerez, Spain, or Jerez, I suppose, which sums to 1140. And that stood out to me right away because the word tie is 114. George Russell, who won pole, he was born 114 days after that tie. And then when you had the tie last week, he was 114 days after his birthday, and it was 114 days before Max Verstappen's birthday, who he tied with. And the track, who it's named after, Gilles Villeneuve, he died on a date with 114 numerology.
Wow.
So in my video, and just a quick look at the thumbnail here, I basically go frame by frame. I mean, I go full JFK conspiracy in this video, and I show which frame they remove, and they do it at 111.9, by the way, right before he gets to the finish line. And they do it side by side. So F1 uploaded two different videos to their channel. One was the original George Russell lap, where it's 3 frames past 1 minute and 12 seconds, which is like 6/10 or 6/100ths. And then they uploaded a side-by-side. But in the side-by-side, I prove here that they removed frames to make it look like it was close when it wasn't that close. So to me, this is a smoking gun. This is like, you can't deny that they're doing this. And then when you see the reason behind it, I don't know what else to tell you. If you can't see it, then don't watch my videos.
Yeah. Wow. Gee, I mean, that's good. I mean, the 114s are crazy. And the 114, I keep thinking, yeah, when was this? When was this race?
This was last weekend in Canada. And it was actually in Montreal, Quebec, which has similar to Gematria to Jerez.
Huh.
And look at how old George Russell was. 9,611 days old. He drives for Mercedes-Benz, which has a double 119. And it was 1 year, 10 months, 9 days after his only other pole position. Which is also 680 days. And Canadian Grand Prix is 680. And yeah, I mean, these things always run deep, right?
Yeah.
But when you think about it, like, I love this F1 stuff because when you look at George Russell, his name, well, first of all, there's this guy. That's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about this George William Russell. And, well, one of the founders of Skull and Bones is named William Huntington Russell. And George Russell started his career with Williams Racing. And now he's Lewis Hamilton's teammate, and Hamilton is coated with Skull and Bones numerology to the gills. But, I mean, it's so obvious. And then the other founder of Skull and Bones is Alfonso, right? And one of the other drivers, another world champion in F1, is Fernando Alonso. So, like, they had these two guys crash on March 24th, and there was a big Skull and Bones riddle with it. But, I mean, I could talk about this all day. It's crazy what they're doing over there.
Yeah, it's good that you're bringing that into it because there's no one else really decoding that right now.
That's what I thought, yeah. And, they say it's the most valuable sport in the entire world. And I don't know if that's true, but it certainly is coded like it.
Yeah. I just want to give a big shout out to my mom in the chat. I have her message up there.
Nice.
My mom doesn't often come to the chats, but she's there today. So
Hi, Cody's
love you, Mom. Yeah, glad she's in the chat. She misses me a lot. I haven't been back in the States for a while, so it's nice to see her in the chat at least. So yeah, give a heart to my mom in the chat, everyone. I don't know if she's still in there, but yeah, what was I was gonna say something. Oh, I wanted to bring up this, Derek. Speaking of like wrestling and how it's pretty obvious, like have you seen this? It's how Bray Wyatt's brother is getting ready to return. Oh wait, hold on. I don't have my screen up.
Yeah,
I was gonna say something.
I was showing you, but I wasn't actually showing you. Hold on.
His name is Bo Dallas. Is that his name still? Dallas?
Well, that was his original name, and that's how this completely connects to what's going on right now. Like super connected. And his real name, yeah, I don't have a whole code written down on that yet, but I need to do a code all on him. But let's see. Try to bring my screen up here. My computer's going so slow right now.
I seem to have that effect on people.
No, my computer's always going. I need a new computer, but right now I don't have the. But this thing, it's the riddles they've been releasing for the WWE return of the Wyatt Six, which is going to be led by Bray Wyatt's brother. And I did a whole decode on this. It's a video I made called "Can You Keep a Secret?" It's connected to Pluto because Pluto is the planet of secrets, or the occult, right? So it's the occult. And basically, look at the symbols they're giving. I mean, they're making it so even the normal decoders or even the normal wrestling fans are turning into decoders. Huh. And they're actually starting to teach these people, and they don't have any idea what they're getting into, but these people, like normal wrestling channels, are like teaching people about these symbols now because of these riddles, right? And so see how all these are all like Well, the most recent one is called Massacre, which I decoded a bit, and they actually gave you a date in this riddle. They gave you the date. They gave you two numbers at the end of this riddle. They said a massacre is coming, and then they gave the numbers 168 and 197. Well, 168 and 197 is June 17th. In a normal year, June 17th is the 168 day, 197 days remaining. And they said a massacre is coming that day. So basically, everyone in the wrestling community who are not decoders like us, they've discovered that they gave them a date, right? So they're doing decoding and they don't even really know it yet. But the last one was called Consequences. And it said, I reached out my hand, I offered salvation, they buried their heads in the dirt. Pathetic, hide away while you can. Soon your eyes will boil as you witness what we have become. So now that they wrote this, I understand what this is. I believe this is talking about Eclipse now. But what I want to show you is not only did they have all the Pluto symbols here, but there's one of these things you can click on that doesn't have the Pluto symbol. And can you see what it has right there?
Looks like an eclipse. I know that.
And then look what it says when you click on it. It says, family, we are whole. We have become complete. We can't wait to show you how beautiful we have become. So to me, this is referencing the moon and the sun meeting in the sky during an eclipse. They become one, like they become whole. We have become complete. Can't wait to show you how beautiful we become, right? An eclipse is beautiful. And then I find it funny that the last post they made was saying, I reached out my hand, offered salvation, you buried your heads in the dirt. But then it talks about soon your eyes will boil. Like if you look at an eclipse, supposedly, right, your eyes will burn. And then it mentions again what we have become, just like what it mentioned in that eclipse one. The prophecy fulfilled, the sky turned to blood. That sounds like Donald Trump or a blood moon, right? Do not fight it. Drown in your entropy. So again, WWE is giving out the most, like, it's insane what they're doing right now.
Yeah, WWE feels a little different than it did like when I was watching it a few years ago. It's more of like a spectacle now than it was. They do all these premium live events internationally now. So you get these atmospheres that are just so intense. Like you don't get crowds like that in the United States all chanting together and singing along throughout the whole event. And
right.
Within the whole theme of Magick, here they're getting so much more energy in these shows now. And it feels like there's
especially in these other countries.
Yeah, especially like you can't tell me that there's not some sort of magic available when you have that many people focusing that much intense energy onto one thing. It's almost like they're playing into that riddle by having these shows there,
Yeah, exactly. I've noticed that too, how they're putting these shows in France and Scotland where people just go more crazy for the show. And it brings way more energy and just like, it's magic, And I found it funny though too that Pluto in Aquarius, right, is happening this year, and Pluto's the planet of secrets. And a few days after the Pluto return, like the 90,560 days, which was Trump's birthday, you have this group is going to be debuting, I guess, tomorrow on June 17th. But just notice that the phrase that they put at the very top of it is, can you keep a secret? Which just happens to equal in two ciphers, Pluto and Aquarius. So it seems to be all about a revealing of secrets, apocalypse, which is exactly what this thing is doing. If you really think about it, this whole thing is kind of tricking people into becoming more aware of things. You're like making more people like look into things more, just the normal wrestling fans. So I think it's kind of like double coded, like it's breaking secrets just by what it's doing here. So
yeah, there's a connection too with I forgot to I mean I put it in my community, the one with the can you keep a secret, how it equals the golden ratio 1618. And I forgot to I should have put it in that. Yeah, I should have put it in that post, but that goes back to the 418 because 4:18 p.m. is 16 hours 18 minutes into the day.
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah, so it really lines up with all that that magic stuff with Crowley and all that.
Yeah, that's an amazing find that you had there. I saw what you put in that community section, and just the way you even posted the pictures in there, it definitely reminds me of the phi symbol when you know the shushing, right? And
Yeah, for sure.
I even made that connection in my last video about how Aleister Crowley's deity, Rahor Cute or Cute Queet, I don't know how you say it. That's the child, Horus the child, and Horus the child is also depicted as basically looking like he's holding his finger up to his mouth and doing the secret, hush. So I think it's like kind of just symbolism of the occult and hidden things and Pluto.
Right.
So yeah, but let's see. So Sean, do you have anything you want to you want to share your screen and show anything, or I don't know if you had anything to.
No, I don't really have anything. Yeah, I don't necessarily have anything that I need to add right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have it. Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that you've been working a lot more lately, so you probably don't have as much time to like research anymore. So
yeah,
but,
well, I mean, because I've just been really like following along with what you've been finding and
yeah,
just trying to like add on to that, because I mean you're just so on point. Like I said before, it was so interesting how you caught onto the Crowley stuff so early on before like everything started becoming like way more obvious and apparent. And it just kind of, because like I said, I still remember when we first live streamed on my channel, and then you just kind of like briefly brought it up. You're like, oh, I'm starting to see this like connection with like Crowley, Aleister Crowley and Luka Doncic. And I was like, oh wow. And then now it's just all coming together. So it was just interesting how you caught onto it so early. And yeah, like I haven't really had as much time as I've had before, but I'm just really trying to just like follow along with everything you're finding.
yeah, and you're always adding stuff too. A lot of the finds I make usually is a lot of times Sean's the one that inspires something, like something you say or something you show. But
yeah, because
I don't know.
Another thing I was thinking. Oh, what were you saying?
No, I was just gonna say, especially this right here. You pointed me onto this even. So I don't know if you saw this, Derek, but this letter written on the very day Trump was born, and it was written by Crowley apparently to Grady McMurdy, and it said at the very end, it says apparently he and Ron, which he's talking about Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard, are producing a moonchild, and that was the subject of Aleister Crowley's book called Moonchild, released in 1917, which is interestingly enough is also JFK's birth year.
Yep.
But yeah, so they were creating a moonchild, and then it's funny because he mentions L. Ron Hubbard, and Trump was born 93 days after L. Ron Hubbard's birthday, and moonchild equals 93. Of course, Trump also equals moonchild in the same 48 in the same cipher as witchcraft, magic words, sorceries, all 48. And yeah, so this is kind of what when Sean pointed this out, I really started looking into the 93, which is the moonchild, and which is basically the number associated with Thelema, because it's the number on the front of the book of the law in Roman numerals. And it's interesting that the 93 equals 418 on the front. But yeah, that's the Greek isosophy for Thelema is 93, and then the Latin here is in reverse reduction equals 93. And yeah, so it's interesting. And again, Sean, that's all because you pointed onto that. I would never have found a lot of this stuff without your connection. So
oh, there's another thing I keep forgetting to bring up, but I guess it kind of ties into Israel, because you know how like there was, so Israel, they their independence was in 1948, but you know how in 1947 they had the UN assembly to vote for Israel statehood.
Yeah.
Do you recall?
Yeah.
So Crowley died the next day. The
Oh,
day
really?
after, or
That was
2
on
days, or
November
maybe it's
30th.
maybe it's 2 days after. Okay, sorry, maybe. Okay, sorry, it was 2 days after that, but because that was on 11/29/1947, and then Crowley died, 2 days after. But I just thought that was kind of
11/29.
interesting.
Oh, that's
Yeah, it was,
crazy because his religion. So yeah, so this is what you're talking about. The UN General Assembly voted in favor of a resolution that adopted the plan for partitioning Eretz Israel. Okay, so but that's crazy because he named his religion Thelema, right? And Thelema equals Israel.
or are you? I don't know
So
if you're trying to share your screen, but your screen's on. I don't know
oh
if you're.
shoot. Sorry guys. I keep doing that. Yeah, so you're saying that it was the UN Assembly. Let me bring it up because I was showing it and didn't even. So yeah, 11/29/1947, and then 2 days later, Crowley dies, and again, Thelema equals Israel. So, and they even have, essentially they have the same symbol. I mean, the Star of David's 6-pointed. Thelema has the 6 points, so yeah, it's 2 cipher match also 60, and it's the tetragrammaton or the tetragrammaton connection again, which I always see that coming up. But yeah, that's a good point. I did not even know that, so thank you for. I was going to talk about that connection with Israel, but now it's even more connected because I didn't know.
Yeah, it's something to add in case you guys or anyone else didn't know it, but the symbol of Thelema is basically what you get when you trace the numbers of the magic square of Saturn. I don't know if you've seen this.
Oh, no, but that makes perfect sense because it's all about the 93, which is the number of Saturn. So
yeah, I have it up on my screen right now. And,
okay, hold on.
If you number all the the squares in Saturn's magic square 1 through 9, and all you have to do is trace from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 to 9 all the way, and that's the symbol you get, which is basically identical to the unicursal hexagram. I guess it's slightly different. It's not exact, but if you complete all the points, I think it might be.
Yeah.
And of course, Saturn is 93. Thelema basically worships the number 93. And did you know that when Logan Paul interviewed Donald Trump, it was 93 days before his Saturn return?
Oh, no, I didn't know that. Wow. Whoa. Whoa. No, I did not.
So
I need to start looking.
So if you go from Logan Paul's birthday and go up a Saturnian year, I guess it'll be later this year when it happens. So his Saturn return is on September 14th. That's Logan Paul 1 Saturnian year. And if you measure to the Trump interview, it's 93 days.
Oh my goodness. That is insane.
Right?
That just brings all my work I've been doing together in one fell swoop. Like that, literally, like that's insane, man. I need to look more at that stuff, with the return dates and all that stuff, because that if I would have known that, man, I would have been like,
yeah, and it pairs up so nicely, right? Because this means that on the date of the interview, he has the 666 in his age. And Logan Paul was born 166,006 days after the Jesuit order was founded. And just a few days earlier, when Pat Sajak retired, the Jesuit order was 176,666 days old. And then 613 was 6 days later. 13, the sixth prime number. 41, the 13th prime number. 41, like Logan Paul's birthday. It just goes on.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane, man. Whoa. I mean, I don't know if people in the chat are grasping this, because I've been showing the 93 for my last, 3 or 4 videos and how it's connected to Thelema. And I connected it in my last video to this whole interview. And I didn't know anything. I did not know it was 93 days before his Saturn return, which Saturn equals 93, in case people in the chat don't know.
Right.
It's just, I mean, come on. Like,
yeah, that's the big one. And, Saturn 511, that was the number of days we were talking about earlier. Trump with the 511-day campaign.
Yep. And you know that Clash at the Castle last month, or I made a connection with how the cube in one of my last videos, the cube that they walk around.
I just literally typed out cube of Saturn. Go ahead.
Wow.
Oh, really? Well, so yeah, I was talking about how on the day that Trump's birthday was the start of Hajj, which is where they walk around the cube for 6 days, I think, or 5 days, because it starts on Trump's birthday this year and goes to my birthday, June 19th. And if you type in, the 777 is interesting, but if you go to the Thelema ciphers and you type in the Kaaba, which is the name of that cube, it equals 93. I don't remember which one it was, which one of the, it must have been the, I think it was like I think it might have been the other Kabbalah cipher. Yeah, I think it was the Trigrammaton, which I haven't really looked into that.
This or spell it.
Oh no, Kaaba is equals 93 in Fibonacci. Sorry, that was what it was. Kaaba equals 93 in Fibonacci.
Okay. And also, like in ordinal, I think it's the black cube is 93.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, and Trump, when he took office, he had the 777 in his age. 70 years, 7 months, 7 days. And it's just so perfect, because when you take the number of Saturn and mix it in with the other similar digits, 511, 151, 115, you get the 777.
Well, 511 is also 777 in octal.
Right. Yes. And 77 is 115 in octal, or vice versa.
Okay.
And 777 is the first number when spelled out to sum to 314. Our big pi number.
Logan Paul equals 77 or 777. So.
Yep. And it was 777 weeks after the last eclipse from Saros 136, which went over Wuhan, China.
Oh, yeah. What's interesting, I was looking back after your video. I was looking back on the Aleister Crowley date where he channeled Aiwass on April 8th, 1904. And I was looking, okay, what's the next closest eclipse in that day or in that year? Because I was wondering how it connects to the eclipse in that year. And lo and behold, there was an eclipse on 9/9 that year. And the eclipse that year, and the day he channeled Aiwass, was on the 99th day of the year. And I can't remember how many days apart it was now.
So
154.
So yeah, so here's the eclipse you were talking about, Saros 133. And that was 154 days after the 99th day of the year on 9/9.
And what's interesting about the year he did that? If you type in Aleister Crowley in the Kabbalah ciphers, it equals 194 in both.
That's too good, yeah.
The 154 is interesting to me because, like, Trump has like a bunch of 9/11 connections, and Revelation 9/11 talks about Abaddon, Dawn, and Revelation 9/11 is the 154th verse of Revelation, and it's the 7,707th verse of the New Testament. So
right. I remember that's what you said about that. That's crazy. Yeah, I remember you told me that.
Yeah, and it also that's the verse that splits. I got this from 7:1, but Revelation 9:11 splits Revelation into the golden ratio, like the closest approximation of the golden ratio. So that ties back into the 418 because, like I mentioned, 418 is the or 4:18 p.m. is 16 hours 18 minutes into the day. Again, like the golden ratio.
So Revelation 9:11 is the 7,707th verse of the New Testament?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So 154 to 250. So you're saying, what would this be then? Is it 404 divided by 1.618? Yep.
Well, it's like the closest approximation. So it's not perfect, but
no, it's very close. So if you take 404 and multiply it or divide it by the golden ratio, it's 250. And you see this is 250 verses left. So yeah, this makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not to get sidetracked, but real quick, like I have a post on this Formula One driver, Max Verstappen, and how insanely coded he is with the Jesus code, essentially. And when Max Verstappen made his F1 debut, he turned 911 weeks old the very next day. And when you look at the gematria of Revelation 9:11, it's 1442. And Max Verstappen was 1,442 weeks old on 9/11, or days. I'm sorry. And it's pretty wild. Crazy. And then you take the dates, and Sean, this is the kind of thing I got from you, right? If you take the date 1/4/42, it's during Brown Lunation 1472, and Max Verstappen equals 1472 in Latin.
Wow.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And Red Bull was founded 1 month, 16 days after his birthday. He won his first race 11 years, 6 months after they were founded. It was 119 days before the anniversary of 9/11. And then his principal's name is Christian Horner. And yeah, it's all synced up with Revelation. He used to drive the number 33 car. Now he drives the number 1 car. Max and Red Bull, both 331, which is a big number for Revelation. So it's like absurd how coded this guy is. I mean, his name is Jesus of Nazareth. It matches Jesus the Messiah. It matches Jesus Christ. He was born during the Jesus Christ lunation.
Oh my God. And I was gonna say it was interesting with the Red Bull connection because I remember seeing the 331 with Damar Hamlin because he wore numbers 3 and 31, and then he was on the Buffalo Bills, the Bulls, and I think there's when this the World Series, how there was that 9/11 connection with the World Series, the last one with the Rangers winning. It was like 119 days after George W. Bush's birthday, and it was the 119th World Series, and he won all that. You guys recall?
Oh yeah, I did a big video on that one. Yeah.
So that was actually let me double check. It was exactly 911 months after Aleister Crowley died.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
So if you go from December 1st, 1947 to November 1st, 2023, that's exactly 911 months.
It's kind of absurd, actually. Because when you look at the coaches that they had in the World Series, you had a guy named Torrey, right? Torrey Lavulo. And then you had a guy named Bob Brenly. Or I'm sorry, Bob Brenly was the last one. So in 2001, the World Series was Bob Brenly versus Joe Torre. And last year it was Bruce Bochy versus Torrey Lavulo.
Whoa.
And it was the Diamondbacks, which were the same team that won the World Series in 2001. Oh, man. I did so much on this. I think I had like 3 posts. Yeah, Rangers, Diamondbacks, 119. And this was all synced to 2023. This is kind of complicated, but if you go forward 2023 weeks from any date, and you take the number of days, see this, from 2023 weeks to the number of days in that number of weeks, this is the 119th square number.
Oh, wow.
Right? So I feel like that was a big reason we had so many 9/11 riddles last year. This year, there's another huge connection, because if you go from English to Hebrew and write out the first temple, which is the name for Solomon's temple in Hebrew, and let me see, this would be Hebrew calculator. It sums to the 224th prime number, 1423. You know, we had the eclipses that were 2,423 days apart. I don't know. I feel like this has a lot to do with why we're seeing so much 9/11 again this year. But and of course, Yale is 322 years old also.
Yeah, it ties into the 2-into-1 symbolism with the eclipse, and obviously with like the towers being 2, becoming 1, and like the eclipse having a corona equals 224. So
Yep.
like, yeah, in Latin, yeah.
Yeah, and then coronavirus came from Hubei, China. Hubei gives us the 224.
Oh shoot!
And if you look at the most trusted doctor in the world, by the way, who I would trust my life with 100% of the time, Mr. Fauci. He's got the 224.
Absolutely.
Dang.
He's the best guy, man. Best doctor ever.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, I'd let them vax me anywhere. So
makes me wonder what they're doing with all this stuff with him on trial right now, or whatever they're doing with that. I saw part of that with him on trial or something. He was getting I don't even know who he was talking to, but some Republican, I think, was railing him about something.
I feel like it ties into like all the stuff you've been decoding with like the revealing and like can you keep a secret and all that, because it's like things are just like starting to come out into the forefront, and it's like,
yeah, exactly. I think that's what they're kind of hinting at, and I think Trump might be kind of under that radar because he was kind of the president during all that during the 2020 chaos and the P word, and like he, now he's being put on trial almost, not for that specifically, but like I kind of feel like it's kind of like a part of this like revealing of a new age type thing. And then I need to look more into Aleister Crowley and his idea of the age that we're in now, which, we're in the age of Ra or Quit or whatever, but we're going to move into a new aeon. What's funny about the word aeon is it equals 35. And he channeled Awas on a date with 35 date numerology. And then he, I think Alistair equals 35. And I think Thelema equals 35. So there's a huge 35 code with that. And just the fact that he channeled Iwas on 35 date numerology also. So, and that obviously might connect back to Catholic, which we know equals 35. But yeah, I'm trying to see what, look more into the aeons, and I'm trying to finish watching this series too, from the Strange Angel series, because I feel like there's going to be more clues it's not the best show, and I don't really like watching it so much because it's kind of dark. But at the same time, I kind of just want to see like what they're actually showing. They show the 93, of course. I mean, that's the guy that they're living next door to in the beginning of the show. He stamps the 93 to their door, and then his wife gets scared, scared of it. And then they absolutely show the 93. But what's interesting is the door or their house number in the show is 534, and I believe Alistair equals 534 in Sumerian, which
I'll be right back.
Mike. Okay. And yeah, I think Alistair equals 534. I was trying to just figure out like what the house numbers mean because they live in house 534, and right next to them is their neighbor who's into Thelema. He lives in 538. And I'm just trying to figure out how those numbers might connect to this. Other than just the gematria, I guess. But I just know that there was some connections with the gematria, but not like anything real.
Yeah, I don't have too much knowledge about 534, but
534, yeah, I can't. I think wait, I think I might know. Hold on. I hope Derek doesn't mind if I take my screen back for a sec. Thank you to also all 96 of you in the chat. Will you guys please hit the like button if you're still here and haven't hit that like button yet? Appreciate you guys. And make sure you guys go subscribe to these two guys' channels here, Sean and Derek. Their channels are actually pasted in the description at the top of the video. But yeah, let me just show you what I think maybe the 534 is. So I told you that the house number for the couple, Jack Parsons in the show, can't remember what cipher it was in, but it was house 534. And of course the show is called Strange Angel, but I found it interesting that Fallen Angel equals 534. And the show's called Strange Angel. And
nice. That's really good.
Alistair, yeah. Alistair equals 534 in the same cipher as Fallen Angel. And remember, it was Iwas, which was his guardian angel who spoke to him. And I guess in order to speak to somebody in the earthly plane, you kind of have to go down into the person, right? Like come down into reality or come down into him, possess him. So it kind of makes sense that Alistair equals 534, Fallen Angel. The angel Iwas fell into him.
Oh, yeah. Wow,
so
yeah.
I think that's why they have the number 534 on the house in the show. I think that's the main reason.
Yeah, for sure.
But
that's really good. And that's in the same cipher, right?
Yeah, in the same cipher. It would be even more perfect if Iwas equaled 534. That would be like the icing on the cake there. I still haven't quite figured out the Iwas. I mean, I kind of know what the Iwas thing is. I don't know, Derek, you might see something in that too, but
did you make that connection with the 7-Eleven already?
I didn't really go down that avenue yet with Iwas, but there is that 7-Eleven connection, yeah.
Because I was thinking about that with the date that Trump is supposed to what is it again? Is exactly 7-Eleven? When Trump is supposed to Yeah,
the sentencing on 7-Eleven.
It's July 11th for sure.
Yeah, because it's 117 days before the election, so it's got the double 117.
So that's 1,191 weeks after 9/11/01.
Wait, what is it?
Whoa.
From 9/11/01, the attacks to the sentencing is 1,191 weeks, and 1191 is like the date, 11th of September 01.
Yeah. The 274. The 274 is interesting because can you click on 274? Just the properties. And then so when you look at the 2137, that's the 322nd prime number.
Yeah, it is. It's a big Jesuit number too.
Yep.
Big Jesus figure, that Trump. 85 like Christ. Trump's got the 85 birthday.
Did
That's
you
why I
see,
was
Derek?
Oh,
Sorry, Sean. I just want to say, did you see, Derek, that President Donald Trump equals 77 in the septenary cipher?
No.
And then it equals, if you type in 34 felony counts, which is what they said he had, which equals 77 also. Or you type it just with the numbers, without the. So
Yeah,
I thought
that's
that was
funny.
interesting. I connected that to in one of my decodes after I saw that, because it was all connected to. Oh, that reminds me. You know how the day that Trump was convicted was the feast of Corpus Christi,
Right.
and you know where WWE is having their show tomorrow? Corpus Christi.
Can't be Corpus Christi, could it be?
Yep, they're having it in Corpus Christi, and that's supposedly when this group is going to return and cause a massacre. So
Interesting. So, okay. So, remember the annular eclipse last year
yeah.
over the Southwest? That ended in Corpus Christi. That was the last city to see it. And Monday night is 248 days after that eclipse. And what date did Bray Wyatt die? The 24th of August.
That's it right there. I hadn't looked into that, but that's perfect.
Little freebie for
That's
you.
the Pluto. And it's crazy because that's the Pluto stuff too, and that's what they've been teasing is the Pluto. You know, that's I just showed you that they've been putting that symbol all over. What's also funny is they've been putting the number 5 all over the place. They've been putting the number 5 because they had this whole thing with Penta, and so I think that's why I think tomorrow when that group returns or when that group debuts, it will be Game 5, and that's when the group will also debut. And there's supposed to be 5 of them debuting.
Okay. You know, that's interesting because I just saw something that WWE might be signing Pentagon Jr.
Oh, really? Pentagon
Yeah.
Jr. Huh?
Here. I swear I just saw this. Okay, so between August and September his contract ends. So and there's been a lot of reporting that WWE is gonna look at him.
Is that the same wrestler that's in AEW that goes by Penta? Or is that a different guy?
Yeah, it's the same one. He was originally Pentagon Jr. He goes by a couple names, but it all traces back to Penta. But that's not for a couple months, so I wonder.
You know how the Pentagon has secrets too, right? Like I feel like it has to do with secrets also. That's why the whole theme is keep a secrets, right?
For sure, yeah. I mean, we're told that that's where the secret files were kept at the Pentagon when it got hit on 9/11. Of course, who knows what the truth is to that, but that's the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why in my video about that those teasers I was talking about how Penta equals 474, and in the I think the Sumerian, and there Pat Sajak equals 474 in the same cipher, and of course Pat Sajak was retiring around that same time, around this group coming back, and I was just talking about how they also have the Penta in their riddles, and and they had the can you keep a secret, which connects to the Pentagon. Yeah, it was definitely connected in that way.
So was there like did they say Penta in WWE? Is that part of how they were explaining this?
They want to. The hard part is you'll have to go back and like find these QR codes that they've been flashing on the screens, and there was one way back like a month ago where they started with this, and the QR code led you to a site that said Penta, and then you start typing in all these phrases, and it gives you back a response, and I can't quite remember all the details, but there was like a whole thing with the Penta, and if you watch some of these decoder channels that are decoding this WWE stuff, they're talking always about the Penta as well. So wait, what was that equaled? What was that equaled 120? Oh, mate, I've been talking about those numbers specifically like so much. The 150 is connected to the book of the law. If you type it in Latin, it equals in the same cipher. And the same cipher as Dallas Mavericks, who have the Magic guy, Luka Magic.
What's the full name again? Is it Liber
Liber
Alveligis? Yeah.
Yeah. So that equals. Oh, I think you have a V there instead of an L on that last one.
Yeah. 150. And the big 93.
Yeah, so it does have the 93. It has the 93 and it has the 255. And I told you after the last episode of that show, Strange Angel, to the interview was 255 weeks exactly, right? And then if you typed in the title of the Donald Trump interview, you type that in Latin, it equals 2550. So that was crazy, I thought.
Yeah, there's definitely something to that.
Is it okay if I share something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Do I have to like take my screen off or?
Well, before you do that, can you go back to the 108s that you were sharing real quick? Because like regarding Trump.
Yeah, I had a couple. Not nothing too much. I had this. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Oh, that's perfect. So okay, yeah. Now I'll share my screen right now. But yeah, I have a, I guess, pretty interesting connection going off of that and tying back into like the sevens, like 777 and all that. Can I wait?
You can share your screen, yeah.
Okay. Try. Oh wait, sorry.
That's a good one. Gene Splice says in the chat the law equals 93.
That is good.
Okay. So come on. Okay. So it's gonna tie into this verse. This is the 108th verse of Revelation, and as you can see, it talks about the blood moon, right?
Yep. That's the 1331 verse.
Yeah. So there's an interesting connection with like the well, first of all, so the 108th prime is 593, right? And when you look at 777, the 777th prime number is 5903. So it's pretty similar. And when you go from 5903 to Trump's recent birthday is 7,707 days. Like how Revelation 9:11 is the 7,707th verse of Revelation.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And
yeah, you just got to laugh sometimes because it's like what you find is so absurd. I mean, it's so good. It's like, how is that even possible?
93 in the chat right now, too.
Of course.
It gets a little bit deeper, too, because when you look at 612, the 612 prime number is 4,513, and this is gonna get a little fancy, but like when you look at, so I'm gonna separate the numbers like this: 4, 5, 13, and when you take those prime, like the fourth prime, basically you're gonna get 7, 11, and 41 because the 7 is the fourth prime, 11 is the fifth prime, and 41 is the 13th prime. So just like this. So when you go from 7/11/41 to Trump's actual birth, it's 593 days, just like the 5903, and the 108th prime is 593. And also, with the end date 4 years 339, like 4339, that is also the 593rd prime.
Crazy.
So yeah, and then also one more thing, he's super famous for the January 6th riot thing. So it's weird because he was born also 257 weeks, and the 257th prime is 1621. That's the exact date of the Jan 6 riot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it was.
I never thought about that number. I've seen that number come up actually a few times, that 1621, and I never even thought about that being the date of the.
I actually just saw that with James Garfield, who we talked about earlier. Like, he died 16 years and 21 weeks before an eclipse from Saros 136.
Oh, okay.
It's just, it's funny how it ties into like everything that all of us individually are looking at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's too weird.
It's just such a web, it's once you. That's why me and Sean, and whenever I decode with somebody else, I can always like somehow come back to what I was originally talking about to begin with, or, usually that's how it works. But yeah, that was good, Sean. I mean, that was a good one.
Thanks.
And the 7/11 date that you went to is also important because that's the days, he's also getting the sentencing, which is also actually really 9/11, right? September 11th. I mean, it's not really 9/11; it's Sept 11. So
we know what they're doing.
yeah,
it's the other September 11th. It just is.
Yeah.
And that ties back into that time during his presidency when he was talking about 9/11, but then he said 7/11. Remember that? Do you guys remember that?
When was that?
Yes.
Do you know when that was? I know of it, but I don't know what the date that was, because that'd be interesting to measure from the day he accidentally said that to the day he's actually getting.
Yeah, I don't know the actual date.
Okay. See if I can look it up here. Trump.
Okay.
What'd you say?
I was gonna say I could look it up, but you're already looking it up.
I don't know what to type in though. Trump says 7/11.
Or you could be like he mistakens 9/11 for 7/11.
Okay,
It's interesting because when you type 7/11, like the two words, it equals 666 in Fibonacci.
Trump says 7/11 instead of 9/11 while talking about September 11th attacks.
April 19th? Really? That's the anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing?
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
19/4.
So yeah, let's go from 4/19/2016 to this it has to be, it's probably that date, I would say. I didn't open the article to actually see, but
wait, was it before he was president then?
I guess so.
Was it before
I don't know. What do you guys see there? Oh, it's 222 day 8 years, 2 months, 22 days. So it's 222.
It's weird because you get the when you look at the months and days, you get like as the date that the queen died, but
yeah, interesting.
Someone said that it was the
I always
18th, but
see
not the 19th.
it was
Which
the
is
18th.
that's what someone said in the comments. But
If it was the 18th, that's insane because I mean, if that's what I can't, my computer's way too. Derek, can you? I think your computer's
I
way
can give it a
faster
crack.
than
Yeah.
mine.
So let's see.
Because
He
just to
was in
see if that
Buffalo.
article, it says the article was posted.
Okay, it was on a Monday. I can tell you that, and Monday was the 18th. So yeah, and it was in Buffalo, which is
Well,
where
there you
McKinley
go.
got killed.
Ah, so literally we're back to the 418 again, and it's gonna be 8 years, 12 weeks exactly.
oh wait, so that was it's interesting because that was 2016.
Yeah.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's interesting. Just because it was, you get the 216, 666.
I'm thinking about this 12 or this 37 because I mean 36 is also interesting. I mean 36, we know that that's connected to the 666. But it's like 3,007 days. What's like 37?
I got it.
And what you got?
So if you measure from the 9/11 attacks to the date that he made that speech, where he mistook 9/11 for 7/11, it's 14 years, 7 months, and 7 days. And in Latin, World Trade Center is 1477.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
My best guess.
And it's just crazy that it's that 418 again. The 418, so that would have been 16 years exactly after the real Slim Shady release, and 16 years after his 6/6 lunar month. So that would be the date of his insurrection, then the 1/6. So that's interesting.
Trump was also, get this, he was 25,511 days old. So you get the 255 and the 511.
Wow.
255. Yeah, that might be pointing to 2025, maybe.
It seems like it. I mean, from what I can tell, like, inauguration day is 666 months after the moon landing. And we know how 666 is all synced up with NASA. So if I had to guess, it'll be after whatever happens there. Okay, I'm sorry. 25,511 days is also exactly 290 mercurial orbits. And 290 is the gematria of Christ, Jesus Christ. And Donald Trump was born during lunation 290.
Wow.
And Trump equals 29, doesn't it?
Yeah. That was the one. Yeah, that was the other one. Of course, he showed up at UFC 290.
Did you guys catch I caught something on with the Trump and the Hunter Biden thing with the 12, because Trump or Hunter Biden got convicted 12 days after Trump, and gun equals 12. It was a gun charge. And I can't remember what else there was with the 12, but there was a whole bunch of 12s I caught on to. And I think the 12 is like, I'm seeing it a lot because I keep seeing like these connections with the 144, which is the 1212. And if you spell judgment with the E, which some people do, it equals 144. So that's what I can't even remember now what all the 12s I had, but I just know that there was 12 days between Trump and Hunter Biden's conviction, and it was a gun charge, which equals 12. And I have to go back and look what I had on that, but
I did mention a couple of 12s with that because Hunter Biden equals 120.
Right.
So does
that's
First
what it was.
Son. Thompson equals 120, and this whole thing with Hunter Biden is a riddle for Hunter S. Thompson. You know, drugs, Las Vegas. I did a pretty big video on that recently.
Yeah, I never looked into that, but
Hunter. So get this. Hunter Biden is 120 in Gematria in ordinal. Hunter Stockton Thompson, Hunter S. Thompson's full name, is 323. When Hunter Biden was found guilty, it was 120 days before Yale's 323rd anniversary. And Yale celebrates its anniversary on 10/9. Hunter Stockton Thompson, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, both equal 109. And I actually did another post pointing out that 109 days before the 323rd anniversary is also exactly 1,009 weeks after Hunter S. Thompson died.
Wow.
And I did a post on, there's a Grand Prix in Spain coming up. And it's all synced up with Hunter S. Thompson for some reason. I did a big thing on this, but there's that was the last thing I was going to add earlier, is that there seems to be a heavy riddle with Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. And then I mentioned earlier that WrestleMania just announced Las Vegas for their next event. So
what makes me think of that connection is Triple H is now the head of WrestleMania or of WWE apparently, and his name was Hunter Hearst Helmsley, right?
Oh yeah, right.
So I think there is a connection there somehow. I haven't looked into that, but I have thought about that, the Hunter Hearst Helmsley and the Hunter Biden. But the 323 also you mentioned is like Joseph saying Lucifer 323, and I think another one 323 in the Latin cipher is Commander in Chief. And that whole thing with the woman Mexico president was tied to the 323 with Kamala Harris. I made a few connections with the Mexico's new president and the 323 because Kamala Harris had presidential power on November 19th, the 323 day of the year. And Commander in Chief equals 323.
Barack Hussein Obama is 323 reverse and caps mixed.
Okay, yeah. Catholicism 323, yeah. But what's interesting is that the Yale's turning 323, so that is interesting. And I think there was, the Pluto is going into, well, I guess it won't be the 323 day this year, but normally Pluto is going fully into Aquarius until 2043 or something like that on November 19th. So November 19th would be that day that normally is the 323 day, but this year it's 324. But yeah, so it'll be on the 3-year anniversary of Kamala's. Pluto will go into Aquarius on the 3-year anniversary of Kamala's presidential power during the colonoscopy. And kind of the whole riddle with WWE right now with the Pluto is connected to a woman because they keep talking about a bride. Like the ritual, the symbols they keep bringing up are the bride, the Pluto, and the eclipse. And there's a few other things they continually hit on, like the 5. But yeah, I just keep finding interesting that people thought they were going to debut that Nikki Cross character. The Nikki Cross character who's from Scotland, people thought they were going to debut her yesterday when they were in Scotland, but they didn't, which was actually a bit shocking because she's from Scotland, but she's supposed to be part of that group. I don't know if you know anything about her, Derek, but
a little bit. Yeah, I didn't know she was from Scotland. Isn't Piper Niven from Scotland?
Yeah, she was there. She lost yesterday to Bailey in Scotland.
Yeah, it was silly. They had the women's tag team, the women's title, and the WWE title, all with Scottish challengers, I think.
Yeah, and you saw the only Scottish people that won was the 2 witches, right? Like that's what I pointed out in my thing was the 2 Scottish witches are the ones who won the titles, and the one woman, she just lost her mom a few weeks ago in a car crash.
Oh,
so pretty interesting timing if if I don't say so myself, especially considering her character that she plays is a ritual, candlelight, moon ritual. They've done plenty of video vignettes with them being these witches who do rituals. So
is that team, are they on like the main WWE programming?
Yeah, well, they haven't been. But see, what's crazy about that is they haven't really been on there until just this Scottish event. Now they're champions all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's why I asked, is because like, you know, it's not like this is a team that's been around. Like they were brought up for this essentially.
Yeah, and just think about who they beat too. They beat the two monstrous, you know, like star-studded monstrous black women that look like men, really, but like, you know, Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, you know. So
the two of the strongest women I've ever seen wrestling.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, for sure. And I just found it crazy that her mom just died in a car accident just a few weeks ago. And also 86 days before this girl's birthday. We know what that is.
Yeah. Huh.
So
all over it, Cody.
and it was just even more confirmation of, you know, going into it, I was already looking at the Magick, looking for, you know, there to be connections with Magick, and of course that the only titles that changed hands was to these girls. They were basically all about Magick. So the CM Punk thing. Go ahead, Sean.
I was gonna say like the car accident thing could tie into the trickster archetype more, because Mercury, the trickster, and Mercury is also the god of transportation.
Yeah. Yep. I bet you. Yeah, that's for sure. Plus, it was in Gemini. I don't know if the crash was in Gemini. I think the actual crash for the girl's mom was on May 17th, which was 86 days before the girl's birthday on 8/11. Something like that. I can't remember that exactly what it was, but I think that was what it was.
Oh, it said her mom was hit by a car too. It wasn't just a car crash, but
really?
Hit by a car on vacation.
On vacation, even. Okay. And her dad survived. Her dad was apparently part of it too. And of course, this was all going down one day before Father's Day, and her dad was still the only one left, I guess, is what they were saying.
Wow. Interesting.
And when was Mother's Day? Mother's Day was, what day was that?
Was it the 12th or something? Does that sound right?
So it wasn't long. It wasn't long after Mother's Day then.
Yeah, it was May 12th.
Yeah, so it was only 5 days after Mother's Day that this happened to her mom. But and I showed in the thing too, the whole thing I coded with the 78. If you type in their name, the unholy union equals 78 in the one of the S exception, I think, ciphers, but same cipher as Damian Priest, who also won yesterday too. So
the Damian Priest name is so interesting because you think about obviously the priest, but then like Damien, like the like that was, I mean, obviously kind of like Damien.
yeah,
that was the name of it from the Omen. It wasn't, yeah, like Damien from the Omen.
Oh, I don't. That's a movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, back on when Raw, on Monday Night Raw, they held on Yale's 322nd anniversary. They held it in Omaha, and that was a tribute to the Omen and the whole Damien riddle. And I actually made a post before that saying, I think Damian Priest is going to try to cash in on that date. And then sure enough, he tried, but he was like beaten up by some other guy. I can't remember, but it was like my prediction almost came true. Like he tried to cash it in, but someone stopped him, and then you see the numbers line up, and it was all too good.
Oh, this might be a big connection, but so Damien Damien Omen 2. So Damien, it's about the Antichrist. Sure.
Because I also thought there was like, wasn't there like a video game with the main character named Damien? There's like a video. I remember when I used to play video games, there was also a video game with a Damien. But yeah, go ahead, Sean.
Well, yeah, cause so it's about the Antichrist, Damien the Antichrist.
Okay.
This came out in 1978.
Oh wow, that's interesting because that connects with Damian Priest and CM Punk because CM Punk just helped him win. Came out
And it's
June 9th too, huh?
It's directed by Don Taylor.
Of course, Don. Of course.
And have you seen people? Oh yeah, so I guess you're not too familiar with the movie, but I've seen people make this connection, like, with this guy and Jared Kushner.
Yeah, he does look like Jared Kushner. I already thought that was as soon as I saw him. Yeah.
I had thought that he was gonna play a bigger role. I remember
I did too. I honestly did too because maybe he still will somehow, but I thought so too.
Because he had that building, the 666 Fifth Avenue. Do you know
He
about
just
that?
looks like, yeah, I've seen that. He just looks like somebody that would be the Antichrist to me. He looks more Antichrist than Donald Trump does, to be honest. He just has that look.
That snaky vibe.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard Jared Kushner speak, which is what freaks me out.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
He just stands there and looks spoiled.
Yeah. Yeah. I always thought it was funny. Jared Kushner equals 134 like solar eclipse. So there might be something with that also.
Didn't he buy the 666 Fifth Avenue or something?
Yeah.
1.8 bills.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's your number 5 again, 5th. I think it always connects back to the pentagram, the 5, Venus, and the satanic connection there.
Yeah, like
or the Tetragrammaton too.
Yeah, I mean there's the Tetragrammaton and then like the Rose Cross. They say that there's the 4 points and then Jesus is hung in the center, so you got like the 5th, the middle, which is kind of what they talk about a bit when they talk about the Pentagrammaton. But yeah, I think that's kind of what. And actually, if you look at Crowley's symbol for Thelema, it's got the 6 points and then it's got the 5. That's what they actually say if you read about it. It's got the 5-leaf flower like in the center of it, which represents the penta, and then the 6, the hex on the outside. So like the 56. So it kind of reminds me of the Society of Jesus when I think of the 5 and the 6.
Yeah, I had made this post about that episode of Raw on Yale's 322nd and its connection with Damian Priest and the Omen because it was in Omaha. And I pointed out there was more to it, right? Because Omaha is home to Warren Buffett. And the name Buffett equals 109, just like Omaha and the Omen. And Berkshire Hathaway Inc., his company is 109. Well, then 38 days before that episode of Raw in Nebraska, Jimmy Buffett died. And Omaha and death both equal 38. His death was 38 days before the show.
Oh, that's true.
And I was like, man, I guess I was right about something, but
yeah, Omaha always makes me think of the work Rambo did on what was that video he did? He did like a video on Omaha and Peyton Manning's catch, snap signal, Omaha.
Yeah, I remember that.
I can't remember what exactly he talked about, but it was a good one. I remember I watched that, but I can't go back and look at it now because he took his videos down. But
cool. Well, I'm going to be taking off here, so I don't know if you're going to end the show soon, but I'm going to wrap it up for myself.
Yeah, here. I think we're probably getting ready to wind down. It's already been a bit for sure, almost 3 hours.
3 hours, yeah. Look at that.
Yeah, and unless Sean, Derek, you can go whenever you want. I don't know if Sean wants to stay on and talk about anything else that he has on his mind. Usually he has a few extra things to share, but if not, I mean, we can end it all at the same time, or it's up to you. That's up to you, Sean. If you have anything else.
I can maybe share. I mean, if Derek needs to leave, but I remember I was telling you in Discord, like that synchronicity I had with like the keep a secret and what happened at my work. Yeah, I could probably just share that. But Derek, if you need to leave, I'll give. But
yeah, I'll stay for a little bit.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it was just funny. Like I had a bunch of interesting synchronicities with June 3rd. Like, did you see like 7-1 his work on this past June 3rd being the 255th anniversary of the Revelation 12 sign? Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I mean, I see. I'm pretty sure I see all of his videos.
Yeah. So this past June 3rd, yeah, that was the 255th anniversary of the Revelation 12 sign that he found which was a Venus transit followed by a solar eclipse, and that was in 1769. So it was funny because the day of that anniversary, I started a new job, and I'm taking the place of this girl who's pregnant, which is part of Revelation 12 with the woman who she's giving birth. And Cody, he was doing that work with Bray Wyatt and Can You Keep a Secret? And he showed that there in the obviously it was before Bray Wyatt died, but he in the Firefly Funhouse, he like while he was with the Can You Keep a Secret, they showed like 3 dates, which was June 10th, June 11th, and June 12th. So on June 11th, the girl who I'm supposed to be taking her place, the office, they were planning a surprise baby shower for her, and it was on that day. And so literally 10 minutes before the baby shower was gonna start, because it was supposed to start at 10:30, and it was around like 10:20. She was helping me like organize some stuff, like kind of teaching me like something on my computer. So she was on my desk and she was like organizing my emails, and she ended up seeing the email invitation to the surprise baby shower. So it like ruined the secret. It ruined the surprise. And that was literally the date that Bray Wyatt, it showed on the Firefly Funhouse, like, Can You Keep a Secret? And it was like June 11th. And I was just like, well, like, what are the odds of all that? Like, I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy considering I was talking about those 3 dates and keeping a secret and yeah, that and the fact that it was a baby like connected to a baby in the birth, and like that I was pretty shocked when you told me that. Of course, you had some crazy personal syncs going on lately, just you in general, with the earthquake on 5/1 and then the other earthquake you had, and then so
on June 6th, so I had turned 404 lunar months exactly on June 6th, and then there ended up being an earthquake in my area, and I felt it at work, and I was just like, oh my god, like, what is
There's been lots of I did see some of those people on YouTube that's been talking, like, just those normal guys who keep coming. They talk about like the solar stuff and the earthquake stuff. They're not like really like they don't do any kind of gematria or anything, but talking about how there's lots of earthquakes, small little tremors happening right now on the West Coast. So I don't know, it might be building up for. I still think there's going to be a big earthquake this year. I do. I don't know when, but I don't know if it's going to be in the United States or not, but definitely could happen. Derek, do you want to share your screen?
Sure, yeah. Seeing as we're talking about organics, sinks and whatnot, I figured I'd just share something I uncovered this past week, which I thought was quite staggering. I mean, sometimes it's symbolism, and then sometimes it's numbers, and sometimes it's both, I guess. Basically, last year, after I started decoding Hunter Biden and the whole fear and loathing riddle, I started thinking, like, I knew a couple people named Hunter growing up. And when I was young, me and this Hunter guy, we traveled with another friend to this like rave in the middle of Wisconsin, and our other friend got lost and we never made it on time and whatever. And, you know, I've never been one into drugs for most of my life, but that particular day, I definitely felt like I wanted to. And then it all fell apart anyway. But what I realized is that, you know, that happened on 7707. And on that day, there was the solar minimum. And I went through a heartbreak earlier that day. And here I'm traveling with a guy named Hunter to go do drugs, which never happened. And what I realized is that July 7th is the anniversary of the published date of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. And I started to dig and I realized my name has matching 522 gematria with Fear and Loathing, which, by the way, is the release date of the film 522. And I ran some of the numbers and I realized, like, wow, you know, this journey I was on, I was 8,068 days old, and it was 868 days after Hunter S. Thompson died.
Wow.
And there were a few more things, nothing worth shouting about, right? But enough that I had to make a post and be like, this is weird that I'm aligned to this, right? So then we get Hunter Biden's guilty verdict, and I'm doing the post, and I realize, wait a minute, this is not just synced up to Hunter S. Thompson, but Hunter S. Thompson's run-in buddy, the Mexican attorney, his co-star in the film also, right? And this guy disappeared on 5/27, which is a big skull and bones number, 5/27. And Hunter Biden was found guilty exactly 52 years and 7 months after the Fear and Loathing article was first published.
Whoa.
So I thought, now are there any connections between me and this guy who disappeared, right? Because I already did a decode with me and Hunter S. Thompson and all this other stuff. And my friend Hunter, by the way, like when I first met him, he was dressed as Hunter S. Thompson for one of his gigs. And then we ended up doing DJ shows together. So like, it's like in your face, right? So I thought to check, you know, do I have any connections to this other guy, Oscar Zeta Acosta? Like any skull and bones numbers there, right? And just look at this. This is so crazy. Hunter S. Thompson was born 832 days after Oscar Zeta Acosta, his friend, which is also exactly 119 weeks. And the 832 stood out because of the Skull and Bones anniversary year, 1832. Mm-hmm. Well, I was born 18,320 days after this guy. And I was born 11 years and 9 days after he died, which is also 4,026 days like Yale. So I'm like, I'm thinking in my head, like, do I have Skull and Bones connections to this guy? And then I see these numbers. And it's not often that my jaw like opens up and stays there anymore, because I've seen it all, I feel like, but that shit blew me away, man. And, you know, just last month I did a different post on another Skull and Bones riddle I had with a race car driver, because I've been doing all these racing decodes lately. And my business partner for Gematrinator, one of his relatives, his great-grandfather's cousin, what used to be a driver in the Indy 500 and even won a couple races and has World Drivers Championship points. And I made a post like showing all my Skull and Bones connections to this guy as well. This guy died on February 13th, which is my uncle's birthday. My uncle got in a fatal car wreck in September of 22 across the street from Clearwater Airport. And this guy dies in Clearwater, Florida. And again, it's a huge web connected to other decodes I did, but it's like, it never fails to amaze me that, you know, every new thing that comes along that has synchronicity in my life somehow also lines up by the numbers. It's like, it's so far beyond my comprehension of how it's all possible and how it all works. But
yeah,
you know, I can't even, again, like I said last time I was on here, like, you kind of have to find your own things in your own life and then run the numbers and see the alignments yourself before you really get it, I feel like. me sharing these kinds of things can hopefully help people towards that, but it's so mind-blowing. And you just mentioned that Venus transit and solar eclipse on the same day, and that was in 1769, right? And it was June 3rd through June 4th, and that was the date of the transit and then the eclipse here in the United States. Well, check this out, right? In Latin gematria, when you write out 216, it sums to 1985. Well, I was born in 1985, exactly 216 years later.
Whoa.
Wow.
And I'm like, what the fuck? And then you just write out birthday. The Gematrinator's birthday is 604. I don't know, man. I don't know what we live in, but it's fucking magic. I'll say that much.
Yeah, magic. That's a good word. I mean, the thing that got me was with what happened with me this past all the same time was there was this woman on that essentially on the day of that anniversary of that Venus transit eclipse, the Mexican woman got elected, right? And I did a video on 518 about the dam breaking because the announcer during one of the Timberwolves games, which also ties back to the 93 because Minnesota has a bunch of 93 connections, but the announcer during the Minnesota, it was the ESPN guy, he said during the highlights that the dam broke after the Minnesota player stole the ball. He said, and then the Hoover Dam broke. So I followed this whole riddle with the Hoover Dam breaking. The next day I made a video about it. And then that was on 518. And I connected it to Kamala Harris and Herbert Hoover because the Hoover Dam, Herbert Hoover, Kamala Harris, born the same day he died. And I basically talked about how 519 was a day to watch out for, which was the next day. And then the next day, the president of Iran dies after he's going to a dam, after he's inaugurating a dam. And I had just talked the day before about how President Kamala Harris could be inaugurated and about a dam breaking, how it was connected, And so that the next day that happened, right, on 519. And then I started talking about 6-2 because I saw how 6-2 was aligning with the Iran's president's dates. I just saw it, and I was connecting it to the show Manifest at the same time because the death date in Manifest was on 6-2. And then so 6-2 comes around, and I'm in the middle of a dam break in where I'm at in Germany. Where I'm staying with my girlfriend, our house is literally about ready to get, luckily nothing happened. Luckily, the water stopped just a few roads away from where it flooded. But the dams broke here in Germany after a whole day straight of rain not stopping. And then the dam broke and the rivers overflowed and then everything around here flooded. It was a big news story here. And my girlfriend even decoded everything and saw how it was tied to Donald Trump and how it was tied to, and I just talked about what was crazy. There's the cat. Hello. Yeah, my girlfriend would love that. She'd want to jump through the screen right now after the cat. She loves cats, but it was just crazy how the same day though the dam broke here in Germany, the woman was being inaugurated or being selected as president. So you had this riddle that was following through, with this original decode I did on the dam and the woman, and then it ended up affecting me personally, where I'm getting almost. And I told my girlfriend, I was like, man, I really didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for a dam break here. I didn't want that. But then what was crazy was that day, 6-2, was exactly 8,300 days after 9/11, which is flood. And what was
collapse
it?
Also.
It was in. No, it was and what was crazy was it was in Germany, which equals 83. It was broken dam equals 83, all in the same cipher. And the two teams that were involved in the game that I decoded originally that connected to the broken dam was the two cities that have a huge Germany 83 connection, Minnesota and Colorado. So those were the two teams involved, Minnesota, Colorado, and then 8,300 days after 9/11 in Germany, which equals 83. There's a dam break, broken dam equals 83, and then flood equals 83. So it was just crazy.
That's what they mean when they say reality is holographic. You know,
Right.
it's like there's no way that just happens, and it's all the result of random stardust. Like, our consciousness is part of the manifested reality. It's the strangest concept, but
I think that's what
we get closer to it.
I think that's what this magic stuff that these people practice is. Somehow they manifest it somehow, which I think is interesting. How the show Manifest predicted the date June 2nd this year as the death date, and the show was called Manifest, and it was connected with this whole thing too, and how we manifest things with our thoughts and with however we manifest, and we don't really know how it works, but we know it's like somehow.
Well, I think when I hear some YouTubers or whatever say things like that this guy was born in a lab, right? Like, you got LeBron James and Steph Curry both born in the same hospital, and people are like, oh, they're probably like DNA clones or something. And it's like, the way I see it is that I think it's every bit as possible that because human beings put all this energy into creating the NBA, all these different teams, setting things up by the numbers, it creates these human beings that become born and become part of the league. Like you were saying with Donald Trump, the moon child. It's totally possible that they, helped create that being through some sort of ritual. Every much it is that they're created in a lab. I don't buy the whole, like, there's like thousands of human beings under the sea growing in a lab. I don't think it's like that. I think it's I think there's more magical elements in that than people are willing to admit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's kind of what I thought when I read that letter where Aleister Crowley's saying they're creating a moonchild. I just kind of thought they were putting their intention into creating this being, and that's kind of what the show Strange Angel portrays it as. It portrays it as the guy is literally just trying to will this stuff, what he wants, into existence, and he's trying to learn how to best do that. And it's kind of what they portray in the show about this, about this very stuff. So, and some of this stuff ends up happening, but not the way he thinks always. Like when he tries to get these things to happen, it happens, but in not necessarily exactly how he wants, but kind of eventually ends up kind of becoming kind of what he didn't know he needed, but maybe eventually the universe actually gives you kind of what you manifest, but at the same time, more of what you needed rather than what you thought you needed. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to give you a lesson or two in the process. You don't just get what you want. There's got to be some kind of takeaway with that too, and sometimes that's a struggle or a hardship before the manifestation.
Yeah. Yep.
And then on top of the fact too, with like, I was gonna say on top of the fact too, with like that, like the Trump and the Moonchild stuff, and like, I mean, how crazy is it also that both of his parents have those biblical elements to their name, like Frederick Christ Trump and Mary Ann, Mary
Elizabeth
Ann.
Christ Trump. You're thinking of?
Well, oh yeah, but isn't also his dad was named Frederick Christ Trump too, right? I forgot about the Elizabeth Christ Trump, but his name was Frederick Christ Trump as well.
Yeah, Elizabeth Trump equals 666, and she died on 6/6/66.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she died the day of that first game that I made that huge connection to, or that was her death anniversary. You remember that, Sean? Yes. You remember how? Derek, yeah. I found something huge with that first game, on 6/6 this year, the first NBA Finals game, a super crazy connection. There was a high mass ritual in the Satanic Church, supposedly. You can find it on the Wikipedia, on 6/6/06. And from that day, of course, to this game was exactly 216 months. and if you type in the Satanic cipher, if you type in, I think, June 6th, 2006 high mass, it equals 666 in that Satanic cipher. And it was all connected to Drew McIntyre too, who was also born that day.
Yeah,
that was his birthday. And so now you're just saying that was also the day that his grandmother died. So that makes it even more crazy.
Yeah, and NBA Finals is 666. in
Right,
Sumerian. And I forgot what I was going to say, but yeah.
I just thought it was super crazy that the way I typed it in, it was like June 6, 2006, high mass, and it was 216 months before, and it was on both dates were the 666 too, because this year was also 6624, which is
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Separated by
was
6 + 6 + 6 years, or 6 × 6 × 6 months.
Right. Yep. Yep. That's crazy. Somebody in the chat's posting Oasis live forever. That's interesting because that's the catchphrase for Damian Priest. He always wears that on his jacket, live forever. So it might be something with, I never really looked into that, but Damian Priest probably has a whole code that I can look into, because he is the champion right now. So
if you do look into that, also look into a previous wrestler named Damien 666.
Oh yeah,
he used to wrestle in WCW. He's got a Wikipedia page.
Yeah, that definitely. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's a good place to end it with the organic stuff, and
for sure.
But yeah, it was a great stream, and I appreciate both you guys for coming on as usual, and we'll do more of these. I think I want to do an actual roundtable coming up soon, where I bring multiple people on if people want to do that still, and just kind of keep people going. Right now, it seems like a lot of people are falling off right now. It's not really like anything really big going on, so views are down, and YouTube's also doing their thing. So, but I think it's good to keep people going together, and
yeah, the way I see it is that there will always be new people growing up and waking up, and
right,
the view counts might not be staggering, but the impact it has compared to any other content people are going to see, I think is powerful enough that it keeps me motivated.
Yeah, I'm always motivated. Like I'm always pumping out stuff. Like people know me. Usually every other day I have a video. I'm doing a live stream, so I never run out of stuff to. I mean, honestly, I just find it amazing that I can live a life where just a simple news story can make my day. Like just make me excited about my day. So like, it's just better than being lost in just living like most people do, where most people are just so bored with their life. They probably just turn to things like alcohol and drugs just to not be bored. So,
that's exactly it, man. And we could talk about how they want to keep people from this knowledge because this knowledge is a form of entertainment that they can't profit off of.
True. Yeah.
I mean, that's what this all boils down to. It's not so much about, they're worried about us bringing the cabal down. Although, if everybody knew, maybe we could. But, it's really about they want to occupy their minds with their shit, not God's stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And it does feel like a blessing that we have this perspective where, I mean, the universe is always going to give us material, so to speak. Like, I'll never be bored with what happens because we're part of this machine that it's running and it ain't stopping. So yeah.
Yeah,
I always enjoy this more than I thought I would, but it was a good time here today.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy it. I always look forward to these streams, and yeah, it's great having you on here, Derek, because like I said, you're one of the pioneers and the guy who made the calculator we all use. So and yeah, your wealth of information is always, every time I watch your videos, I'm like, man, like you always bring together so much and so well too. You bring it together. So it's great having you on here. Yeah. I mean, I think we always have to try to find where the connection needs to just like stop, because it's never ending. But
I just want to circle the drain 1 or 2 more times, please, before I finish the decode. That's all I want.
Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully we'll do this again soon, and hopefully we'll have a roundtable coming up also. But thank you guys so much for coming on. Sean, thank you. And again, thanks, Derek. And thanks everyone in the chat.
Of course. Sean, Cody, it was great to talk to you guys again. And I hope we can reconnect and, because I feel like if we do this every month or two, we'll be able to like bring a lot of our ideas together and make more sense of it and give us all individually a better perspective to make our own work better going forward.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. And thanks everyone in the chat, especially thanks Casey in the chat. I don't think he's still in there. Joseph Aquaviva also, and Visionary Vet and Coffee Girl. Coffee Girl's always in here. Much love, Coffee Girl. And Journeyman. Yeah, Dirk. The Illusion's also in the chat. Also, make sure you guys go subscribe to him. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everyone. But we'll call it a night. And again, thanks everyone in the chat. Please hit the like button on your way out. That's always appreciated. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next video, right, guys?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yep. Peace out,
everyone.
See you guys.